Welcome indeed to another glorious day in the Emperor's light. Whether that Emperor has 2 arms or 4 arms, who's to say? But all are glorious with the Emperor. What I am going to want is my chat on screen. We can't be having you just on the sidebar, that's no good. I'll get it. It's coming soon. We'll have to do the thing that Games Workshop always does with any of their live streams, where you tell me where you're coming from and they're like, oh yeah, that's a country, I've heard of that country. Definitely have to do it just like that. Okay, we now have a chat appearing on screen. There we go. Very nice. We have you, we have me. It's all good. Too warm? It's okay, yeah. It might be a bit too warm. It's like that in England. We're in the middle of second summer at the moment. So first summer is like 1 week in June. Then we get hell, which is just pure fire. Then it gets like autumny, but not really autumny. Then it's second summer. This is now for second summer. Yeah, as a German, we do shout the French and English. You see, I thought that would be the way it is. From all the German people I'd spoken to, yeah, the only reason you speak English is to insult other people nearby who don't speak German. Good, good. The light of the Grey Knights will hold the heretics. Well, Grey Knights are going to be not doing amazing, I would say, at the moment. The lack of anti-tank is unfortunate. I'll just get a bit closer. Then we can take up the space. I don't like having the void space in between us. Much closer. Ah yes, the fire breathing. The fire shoots from my eyes, though. It's like the gaze of Nagash. Yeah. See, we've had 1 summer, yes, but what about second summer? Oh, absolutely. I mean, we also have like 2 springs and 3 winters. The French deserve to be shouted at, absolutely. Yeah, it's very warm, depending on where you are in England, and especially if it's in a city and not the coast. And it depends which coast, either you've got the North Sea or you've got the Atlantic Ocean. No, the Irish Sea. There's Ireland. Big island called Ireland in the way between the Atlantic and the Northwest. Yes. People are happy with the devastating wounds change? Good. I know there's quite a few units that are like, oh, this is devastating wounds but damage 1, so it doesn't matter to me. So generally that seems to be a positive change and people are happy with that. Yes. You'll have to also tell me in the chat which army you play and generally if you're happy with it. Just looking for like an army and an emotion like Dark Eldar plus sad or Votann plus happy. And then I'll know roughly how all of the different armies are doing, at least as far as the player base is concerned. Because I don't play all these armies, I just play quite a few armies and talk about the Genestealer Cult and Battle Sisters most. I have some things about like enemy armies, how to beat them, how to play with them. So I've done some on Death Guard, some on Eldar. And we have many questions, of course, for today that I have many answers for. There's Necrons, but try anything. Okay. Someone playing Sisters with a sad face. Yeah. Ah, hello from Ireland, from DTM. Hello. As a Sisters player, the rules changes are good. I think we're agreed. Generally, the rules are changing are good. That's a silver lining in the midst of all of our rules not being specifically improved. Just have more Sisters and hope that if you can pile up more martyrs, layers upon layers of martyrs, then eventually you'll reach the height of a tank and somehow you'll be able to beat it. Tank shock just with a wall of bodies, that should be allowed. Necrons are doing okay, generally. Thousand Suns feeling the nerfs are deserved. Yeah, fair enough. Custodes have changed quite a bit. You're no longer having huge blocks of Custodes. Sisters of Silence still going to be underperforming, because why would you take Sisters of Silence when you now just take Inquisition squads? Thrilled at the cheap troops in Imperial Guard. Oh, I see Imperial Guard troops are very, very happy. So it's definitely pushed up my Do the Brood Brothers best Imperial Guard units list further up. I just now need to rewrite a lot of it. As with the changes in the rules, a lot of things have gotten better or worse. And we also have, well, there's Lehman Russers, they're cheaper. I have done a separate video on the Lehman Russers, and that stacking still stands because the rules of the Lehman Russers did not change. So they're all a good unit to take, the Lehman Russ. Grey Knights, content, good. Sisters, but new, so still happy. That's good. As long as you're having fun games, that is the most important thing. When I was doing the video on Sisters, I know it seemed a bit, oh, here's everything that's wrong and bad and unfortunate, when there were several players going, ooh, more models, so that's good, right? Right? Tell me it's good, and it's just not as good as other people. The Knights, Chaos Knights and Imperial Knights, if you're playing straight Knights, I suppose it's not as good. Chaos Knights, though, will be happier with the changes to Battle Shock, so it's not just, haha, I scare you and you're not an objective, and then you just go, oh, well, I'll just play Insane Bravery in my command phase, so it's all good. Now it's once per game. Bit different. What's the actual average for Battle Sisters points drop? It's about 10%. Not a lot of 15%. It's about 10%, and that's, or like 11%. Yeah, about there. So Battle Sisters went from 110 points to 100. I have the document here. Battle Sisters, they're a B. Yeah, went from 110 to 100. Dominions, 120, no, 130 down to 120. It's about 10 points off everything. So we're doing okay. There's an okay. Custodes are definitely paying for some sins. Votan have spent this whole edition paying for the sins of 9th edition when they were super duper amazing, and then, yeah, not so great this time. Battle Sisters do need a lot of stuff. Nids are getting close with Ender Swarm for just flooding the board. Yes, the Imperial Guard being able to now have even cheaper troops, so in something like 1,000 points, you can easily field 100 soldiers. Plus about 5 tanks. No problem. Minister and multi-melters with a decent range and some anti-tank, anti-monster would be very nice. Yeah. The Nexus. If I give a Nexus Inscrutable Cunning, can I gain a command point from a free stratagem? I'm going to have to double check that that rule does. I think it's no. Probably no. Inscrutable Cunning, that lets you, every time you target that unit as a type of a stratagem on a 4+, you get a command point. So yes, technically yes, you could spend a command point which changes to cost 0, although it's limited now as to what different stratagems you can actually use for that 0 command point one. Something like the pretty good one, Perfect Ambush. You can still do a Perfect Ambush for free, and then if you have Inscrutable Cunning as an enhancement on the Nexus, then on a 4+, you would indeed get a command point that you haven't even spent. So that's pretty cool. That's a nice little thing. How are the Knights doing? Knights still need a points nerf reverted with the changes to towering. I was expecting that. I kind of was. Because the whole thing, points increase, which was only last month, we've only had about 4 or 5 games, if you play once a week, with those points, because of the towering. Yeah. Not amazing. Are Chaos Knights still using a lot of War Dogs? I think they're still using a lot of War Dogs to try and go along with things. Got a free Belisarius model. Oh, right. Like a friend gave you the model. Nice. Nice. I do have... There's a friend I play with occasionally. He has Black Templars and a lot of Space Marines and just goes through all the different Space Marine sub-factions. He's like, I'll try this, I'll try this. And if it doesn't work, he just throws models at me. Like, oh, I don't want these 2 plasma cannon marines, they're terrible. And then come 10th edition, they're amazing. Finally. It's taken 2 editions, but finally. Ahriman is still pretty cheap, and Ahriman still can use the Cabal points to point at a unit and make them naked, as in all of their armor falls off. It's not a Slanesh thing, it's a Tzeentch thing. Yes, Wacky Tube Man Dragon, very clever, does work. It's not a refund because it's just on a 4+ you get an extra one, yeah. Chimera being 70 points is pretty good. Yeah, better armed Rhino for less than a Rhino. Plus, if you put something like Katachans or Kazakin in it, then it can scout, so you can really get to those objectives very soon. Curious if Eldar will ever drop below things. Yeah, will they even drop below the top 3? So, I'll get to the first question. Or I'll just get to that question. That was there. Somewhere. There we go. Do you think Eldar nerfs were too much, not enough, or about the right amount? I think the Eldar are still going to be very, very strong. The points have changed a bit. You're looking at only losing 100 or 200 points from a like 2,000 point list. Maybe there'll be fewer people taking the Yin Khan, and maybe taking some more aspect warriors like Swooping Hawks instead of Warp Spiders, because you can get like 3 Swooping Hawk units for the cost of 2 Warp Spider units. And Swooping Hawks can still be deep striking and getting all over the place and moving after they've fired, because they're much like Seraphim. And they have devastating wounds on their lasgun type things, which we definitely call lasguns, even though they're very distinctly lasgun models. That goes back to like 1st edition, when the Eldar could take lasguns, so Guardians could have lasguns, Swooping Hawks, still the models have lasguns, and you could get Warlocks with like las pistols and things. So the Warlock model that I have with a Singing Spear also has a las pistol. Very strange. But I still think the Eldar are going to be playing with a lot of Fire Prisms, a Wraith Knight, Wraith Guard, though Wraith Blades may be appearing more for just sitting there and holding objectives and being really, really tough instead of Wraith Guard, because the devastating wounds of their not Overwatch but fire whenever I want just doesn't spill over. I also don't think there'll be any more support weapons. I think that's just gone as a plan. The biggest change for Eldar, I mean, that's not a lot, so they're still staying about the same way. They have indeed have a really good index. Yeah, they're going from maybe S tier to A tier. The problem then is they have a lot of aspect warriors to go, which are still quite useful. So if you want to check out my video on how to beat Eldar, which I did very early into the edition before the meta had quite shaken out, so I could see, oh yeah, we're going to need to be getting rid of Farseers and Spirit Seers, but didn't know much beyond that. Oh yeah, we need to stop their deep strike. Oh, we need to get rid of their Rangers in reserve. I wasn't expecting this many Wraith Knights. I was looking at like the Tau and seeing Riptides not being taken at all, Tyranids not taking the big monsters. And then, yeah, David Schultz, I can see you typing. It's good to have you here. We just can't hear you. It's not like a massive call. It's not like a huge Skype call. That would be insane. No, can't have 36 people plus me all in a Skype call together. Yeah, the 1st edition nonsense was kind of strange. You did get Space Marines with Shuriken Catapults, though in 9th edition we got a new Inquisitor with a Shuriken Catapult. We also had a Space Marine character who was half Eldar, and they were very clearly meant to be Spock, but not Spock. 1st edition was a crazy time. I've seen a bit of the things from then, but I only started playing in 2nd edition. Other things we've got for Eldar, I don't know if it's going to be a points nerf, just a rules nerf. Phantasm is still going to be quite tough. Yeah, so do check out my video on how to beat Eldar. It has a lot of useful points that now we haven't got as many Wraith Knights is going to be more valuable. Yeah, is she on par with the elites? She does have a nice dragon pet, that Inquisitor. It's an okay one. She's just a very radical Inquisitor for the Ordo Xenos, and the only Ordo Xenos Inquisitor that there is. But that's fair enough. There's like one each for the Malleus, Anti-Psyker, Witch Hunters, and then them. I think Genestealer Cult changes are going to do more for Eldar than anything else. because the Genestealer Cult not being able to have as many infantry respawn means that there's going to be, well, they're not flooding the board as much. If you wanted a close fight, then a horde of Genestealer Cult versus potentially the speed of Eldar would mean that, can the Eldar pick up the tokens before they can respawn? Now they don't need to worry about that as much. They can have a much tougher list with the Fire Prisms, one Towering Wraith Knight, Wraith Guard. You don't need to be worrying about jet bikes so much, or warp spiders. You can leave them at home, especially with the warp spiders going up in price so much. Yin Khan as well, maybe don't use it. I've seen that the Avatar went up in price by like 30-40 points. I don't know how many people were using the Avatar, but it's maybe a good second choice instead of the Yin Khan. Not sure. But I think the Eldar will stay about the same level. You can obviously see that the Fate dice are far better than the Miracle dice. We know this. I've had several videos about this. So the changes are probably not going to be enough, and I expect I've put down a 60% win rate. I see in the chat we also have like 65%, 60% win rate. It's probably going to be about that level. And I think we're going to start seeing some tournaments come up with rules like the Eldar do not get the detachment rule, so there's no rerolls for the Eldar, or they're just going to straight up ban Eldar from some events just to see what happens if there's no Eldar. And that could be quite interesting just to see the results of that. I don't think it's going to be super amazing fun though. It always seems kind of mean if you're just banning a faction. Like, they could have a nice list, they could have an Aspect Warrior list, they could have a Guardian heavy list, and just not allowed to take it. I don't know, what do you think in chat? Is it okay to ban a faction? Specifically the Eldar faction right now? Yeah. Is it a prerequisite to be radical? Yeah, I mean, you've got to be a bit weird. You either need to be religiously fanatical, or self-interested, or very much just a radical. Oh, cool. Yeah, just have the stream on in background. I make enough noise constantly. Constant noise. And then you can paint or check cards or go through army lists or make army lists on the app. Although now the app is updated, you can only make one army list. If your app hasn't updated and you have the 40k app, make an army list right now for like every faction with every detachment that you can, because as soon as it changes, any army list that's already there, you can edit it as much as you want. As long as you press the create army button, it's there to edit. Otherwise, it's just going to update and you can only make one. Yeah, I'd rather not have faction banned. I am the same. I don't think many places will just straight up ban Eldar at all. It'll just be, we'll see what happens, because they'll be interested to know, as tournament organisers, how much things have changed. Are the Imperial Guard going to be able to flood the board instead of the Genestealer Cult? And are they going to be a good counter to the Eldar? That could be nice. Just play against each other, then there's a perfect 50-50 win rate. I did make a joke that when it came to tournaments and the Eldar were having a, like, 2/3 win rate, the only time they ever lost was when it was Eldar versus Eldar. So otherwise, it is 100% win rate. Yeah, the Necrons, I'm thinking of doing a video on the Necrons. I've played against a couple of Necron armies recently. They have a few different hordes, some of which have gone up in price, some of which have gone down in price. They're also a very big horde faction, but with blocks. Big blocks. Definitely not doing MSU as a Necron player. No, no, no. It's Death Stars and blobs. Yeah, we don't want to just... Net listing is annoying, but people who just play netlist tend not to do so well. Again, I have a video on that. It's my tournament video. Don't do this at tournaments. It's called something like that. There's a picture of me in an Imperial Knight. And if you just take a list from the internet and play it, yeah, it's not going to go great. Not going to go great. The Doomsday Arc, is that the massive cannon? I think that's the massive cannon. Yeah, firing that and it doing devastating wounds before was like, oh yeah, okay, so I kill 4 of your Space Marines, plus then you need to take this many saves, was a little bit much. Rule of 2 instead of rule of 1. Maybe. Could do rule of 2 for Eldar. Just stops them having 1 extra fire prism. Instead of 3 fire prisms, it's 2 fire prisms, which is fair enough. Scorpeths are good. We could segregate the Eldar into their own corner. Yes. Hello, William. I feel those went up a pinch too much. Yeah, it's okay. Generally, the points mostly seem fine. I know the battle has only got a little compared to other factions. Yeah. Are there any allies or Inquisition models you see as strong contenders? For 10th edition, I assume SOD is meant to be SOB. I assume. Sisters of Battle, army lists, unless something else is just a sod. I mean, the Inquisitorial Agents, that kit that they probably want to push more of, that kill team, get 4 of them for 40 points is pretty nice. Dominion still... Oh, right, yeah, it's a lot. The Obelisk is present. Is the... What's the other one? The Pyramid. The big Pyramid. The one that's been around since 4th edition. Ah, it's right there. It's a bit... Monolith. That's the one. Monolith. They had a big points drop. Yeah, yeah. More monoliths, more fun. More big, just unkillable tanks, really. Okay, I'll do the next question. Blah, blah, blah. Are there going to be even more rules to learn in the future of 40k? Yeah, that's a timely question, as we've now seen that the Death Guard and the Votan have just been given more rules. And the Death Watch, their rules have changed as well. So you got to learn or relearn more rules or new rules. It may just get as bad eventually, perhaps sooner than we'd like. It'll get as bad as the end of 9th edition, when Space Marines had like 12 different rules across 4 different books, all of which they had to learn. Not amazing. Really not amazing. Not a good time. No, don't like it. Don't like it at all. So we'll get more rules for them, and then you'll have to learn them, unfortunately. Yeah. We'll catch up though. At the moment they're just rules tweaks. That's something. Hopefully we don't get piles and piles of rules and then have something as massive as Armor of Contempt, because unless you're keeping up with, you know, YouTubers that talk online about Warhammer 40,000, or you're reading Warhammer Community every day, at the end of 9th edition there were some people who hadn't heard of Armor of Contempt, and they were like, oh wait, my Space Marines should be ignoring all of this damage? Oh, whoopsie. Good cup of tea. Yeah, so I'd rather they didn't just keep adding rules and more rules to balance patches, and then someone says, oh, did you know you have this rule? It's like, well, no, I didn't. It's not in the codex. No, that's a surprise. Do I have hands? I do have hands. They appear on the thumbnails. I don't have hand tracking, or I don't have good hand tracking. It's absurd. I flail. I look like one of those things that's outside car sales places with the noodle arms that flail in the wind, because the slightest twitch just sends an arm spiraling. It's not good. It's not good at all. So I'll just keep my hands low down. I can zoom out on the model. Where's the zoom out button? Ah, I've forgotten the zoom out button. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. There was a button to zoom out and see the whole thing. No, not on this one. Not right now. I do have hands. They exist. Most of my thumbnails have my hands. Hi from Italy. Recently started Battle Sisters and enjoy things. I don't care how strong they are. Thank you. Thank you. I don't get all of the messages. I mean, I can see them all, but there's a lot of people. They're coming really fast, and I don't want to put on slow mode deliberately just so I can read every single one of them. I'm going to be talking a lot, and I have all of the questions, several questions already from the Discord, from the Warhammer Community tab, and then more questions from the chat. Eventually, I will try and get to everyone. But hello, Manifold from Italy. As long as you're enjoying Battle Sisters, I'm happy. That's great. Yeah. Most likely, never doubt it'll get really bad with rules. I mean, yeah, eventually it's going to get silly and they'll just have so many things and then it'll be, oh yeah, here's your weekly balance patch. They won't do it that often. But at the moment, it is really bad because they've had to do a change to the rules every single month since launch. That's quite a bit. Including a change like before the game had really started to the Death Watch, who have been smashed way, way down. Yeah, my hands are Italian. No, just no speaking with your hands. Hands are overrated. Hello, Paul is bad at stuff. Nice to see you here. Hands are overrated. Hands we don't need. Hands can just stay locked to the side. Yeah, heresy. It's all heresy. As someone who started out with Adepta Sororitas, what would you recommend to start? So, if you can get the boarding patrol, That's quite a good set. And then also get the Combat Patrol. I would buy probably the Boarding Patrol now. I think the Combat Patrol is going to stick around for a while and be available as a box. Also, now is a good time to mention I have an affiliate link with Firestorm Games. If you want to go into the description, there's a thing that says Firestorm Games. They'll get you about 10-12% discount on a lot of things. The shipping varies. It does ship to Europe and Ireland and... oh yeah, Ireland's in Europe. I just think of Europe as like a big island off the coast of Great Britain. And then they also ship to the UK, so you can get them there. Yeah, the Sisters Combat Patrol is a good start. I would say the Boarding Patrol first, because then you get the multi-part plastic kits and can change up a lot of things. And then you have a lot of spare weapons, things like hand flamers, inferno pistols, that can be really nice. And then... I don't know. And then you can get, on top of that, the Combat Patrol, which is all push-fit models. It's the ones from the starter set that they had at the end of 2019. Doesn't come with all the weapon options, so things like Seraphim, they all have bolt pistols in that set. So having the Inferno pistols and similar weapons, combi weapons, things like that, from the Boarding Patrol will give you weapons for them. So that's why. I wouldn't buy both at first, because that's a lot of models. That's going to be too many models. One or the other. Yeah, first rule of 40k, don't meta chase. Absolutely. Beautiful models are forever. That's great. That is the good attitude. Because as we've seen, just from the last 3 months, Deathwatch has been god tier, then average, now probably not doing great. A Harlequin's good. I talked to Proxy Hammer, who is a Eldar specific specialist. Not a bad channel to watch. He said that Harlequins are not doing so well at the moment. They're quite expensive, other things do it better. Aspect Warriors are probably going to be doing better than Harlequins, and also the Pirates, the Eldar Pirates, are doing better than Harlequins. Yeah. They definitely didn't play Task 10th. Well, the way it works for Games Workshop is they've played all of the armies against all of the other armies maybe twice. That's about all the time they had, just to make sure that everything is about right. And then they knew that whatever happens, as soon as they release it to the public, we're going to do 1,000 hours of playtesting within the first day. And then we can report back and say, whoa, this is too much. And then they can immediately go, okay, let's just fix those Deathwatch right away. Yeah. I think they might do a balance pass every 6 months because they require additional data. The plan initially was September only to be a points change, and then in January that was going to be a rules change. So it was every 3 months points change and every 6 months rules change. As it stands, they've had to do a rules change and a points change right away. That's why the September one was a lot bigger than it should have been. Did they playtest Oddjob? I assume that's a reference to the GoldenEye game. That's a very old game. PlayStation 2, I think. One of the first games to have like an online competitive play. Division between Mortal Wounds and Devastating Wounds. I did expect Games Workshop to go a little overboard explaining it. I think it works okay. I think it's fine. Yeah. Hands are overrated, use mechadendrites, use telekinesis. Absolutely. I mean, I have eye fire, so I can just use that. Do I think the Pure Strain Genestealers are a good pick for Genestealer Cult post-nerf? I think they're quite good. I'm going to be running them very soon with a Patriarch, because if they got cheaper and I get more models that can be getting Devastating Wounds, yeah, let's go for it. The compensation, I think, for the Patriarch losing the Devastating Wounds on his damage 2 weapons is that Genestealer Cult, the Genestealers, the Pure Strain Genestealers are cheaper, which will help compensate, so that's good. Do all Paragon Warsuits. 3 squads of Paragon Warsuits can be quite nice. That's going to fill up 600 of your 1,000 points, and then have a Morwen Val. Yeah, throw in a Knight as well. We're almost there. I did see, just earlier today, you can have any number of points on your allies as Battle Sisters. So if you want the Knight Porphyrion, and then a Novitiate squad, a Palatine, and a Retributor squad, that can be perfectly fine for 1,000 points. It's not going to be fun for anyone, but it works. Serve the Omnissiah. Yes. What are my thoughts on Kill Team? Ooh, Kill Team's kind of fun. I much preferred the first edition of Kill Team to the second edition. It was a lot easier to get behind, and I've played a lot of the various versions of Kill Team over the years. I haven't played I think I've got one game of the current edition of Kill Team. It's It's fun, but as skirmish games go, I like it. Other skirmish games I've been recommended are things like Infinity. Also okay. I'd say it's fine. I'd prefer to just play a small game of 40k instead of Kill Team, though, in general. Are they going to make melters better? I don't know. Evidently not. Yeah, Inquisitorial Henchmen are the new Exaction Squad, so I think they're already out of stock, you'll find, in most places anyway, because they were really nice models, and they've only just come out. And they were in the Super Kill Death, let's have some Inquisitors and also some Chaos Cultists in a very nice little game, which was Kill Team, but with a twist, so that'll be fine. Yeah, I think for them, you can pretty much get any model, any human models, and just proxy them, because all they need is a bolt pistol. That's it. Any kind of pistol. One of them can have a plasma pistol. That's it. That's all you need. Absolutely just collect things for your faction over years. You can always build better lists and play smaller games. It's just going to be upsetting if you buy 1,000 boxes, put them in a corner, and then you never get round to them. I have a video on 10.5 things you need to know if you're a new player. That's a very good place to start. If you want to, how do I get into this? What should I buy? Things like that. I also have a video on how to equip the Battle Sisters, just that basic box, which is a nice one as well. And the how to use Neophytes, which is a good one for how to equip your Neophyte box, which is again another good starting thing for Genestealer Cult. Are we going to have Sisters of Battle themed terrain? Well, we had one, but we'll see. We'll see. I love paying to buy and play the game and then be a playtester for it. Yeah, it's not amazing. But Games Workshop sells models rather than they sell rules. Below house strength isn't... Yeah, the detachment, the Battle Sister detachment is not a great one. I don't like any of the stratagems other than like +1 to wound, but you don't need it in that detachment. And you can get models, like you can get your characters back, which is kind of nice if there's a precision thing. Or otherwise I just use Remember the Fallen, Rejoice the Fallen, shoot when the unit has a model's killed. Other than that, I'm not finding it super amazing. It's sort of fine. It's sort of fine. You still have the opinion it's better to build tanky than chaff stuff with Sisters of Battle? I think we can try. You could do a Horde. Horde could be fine. I did have a question about that. It's somewhere... Yeah, the points changes to my Battle Sisters have meant I've gone from 2,000 points to 1,795. Now I'm faced with the decision of adding an awkward 205 points. What do I spend 205 points of Battle Sisters on? So you could have an Exorcist and a Dogmata. I'm considering a Dogmata just because the extra objective control when we can't use the stratagem for Insane Bravery, not a bad choice. Or you could have a Dialogus, or you could have a Preacher. Or if you have a list that's all infantry, as I think that list was, add 10 Arco-Flagellants and a Preacher, or a Dialogus, or something. Or have the Triumph, because that'll support a lot of infantry, and a squad of Seraphim to take some objective or touch something. Do it like that. Something that, yeah, they did have playtesters and then got rid of them, not necessarily because of rules leak, but also because it costs a lot of money. And then it was how much input do they have, and then they need to understand that if they come up with an amazing rule, that rule may not match with the marketing or with the sales. Yeah, so then they were getting a bit annoyed that their pretty good ideas were just being thrown out and then introduced like 4 months later in some kind of balance patch. So they were leaking out of spite. Also they could, also a little bit of clout, things like that. So we did have a lot more leaks in the past. We're still getting loads of leaks now though. So as soon as there's a book or something sent to one of the YouTubers that collaborates with Games Workshop, I don't, not for me. The only collaboration affiliation I have at the moment is with Firestorm Games to get 10% to 12% off your Games Workshop models, as well as a lot of other stuff, like the Infinity stuff and the Kill Team stuff that I've mentioned. Yeah, so that's an option. But yeah, they're leaking it accidentally, as we've seen pretty recently, where they did a review of a book that they weren't meant to show off yet. Something like that. The Tyranids, which led to, oh yeah, anyone who's seen that or recorded it and that got shared around. Yeah. as soon as the edition becomes comfy, it just keeps changing, and then there'll be new codexes, and there'll be new detachments coming out and things like White Dwarf. We had in 9th edition, probably. I think it was 9th edition. Yes, definitely 9th edition. The Crusher Stampede was released in White Dwarf, and that made Tyranid monsters just absurdly amazing. It was like a 5+ invulnerable save and a 5+ feel no pain on all the monsters, and it was a lot. Definitely a lot. Tyranids with the Onslaught. The Onslaught rules don't work. Units are alive, dead most of the time with no middle ground. Oh, right. For the +1 to hit, +1 to wound when you're below half strength or below half strength. Yeah, they're not great. They're not great. Alas, poor Battle Sanctum. I have the paper card Battle Sanctum from White Dwarf 212. That came out in 2nd edition. I have been playing since 2nd edition. I don't know how long how long it's been since I brought that up. How to equip Battle Sisters is a really useful video. Good. And local gaming store not having sisters plays. Yeah, I mean, Battle Sisters and Genestealer Cult are very underrepresented, but I know there's a lot of players out there, just not necessarily at every gaming club. So I try and be useful for those people. That's my niche. That's where I'm getting into. That's where I sit. So I could be doing anything. But I've gone with these two factions, and you'll see that my banner on my channel is updated. So it now has a Battle System model and a Genestealer Cult model. So anyone seeing it can see, oh yeah, these are the factions that he talks about. I can see why they didn't do Rejoice the Fallen when you lose a model from Overwatch, because if it was a use any time, then you're getting like 3 or 4 shooting phases within someone's shooting phase. Yeah, because then otherwise we're getting more like start of 8th edition with Battle Sisters. Then you have, we fire in the movement phase when the enemies fire Overwatch, and then we shoot in the shooting phase. I did quite like the start of 8th edition index rules, where it was you do an act of faith across the army, which is either a bonus move, a bonus shoot, denying psychic powers, something like that. And you did it in the command phase, like or at the start of the turn, start of the game, as it was, start of the player turn, as it was called then, because you didn't have the command phase. That only came in 9th edition. You could get like some shooting or some movement. It was quite useful just to be like, I need to be on this objective. I'm going to move before I actually move. Or if you're in combat, fire bolt pistols, kill the enemy that's in combat, and then shoot something else. It didn't scale well for larger games. It worked really nicely at 500 points. And then the Battle Sisters got Miracle Dice instead, and we kind of know how I feel about Miracle Dice. I don't think they're that amazing. Feature not being able to join Repentia, well, the missionary not being able to join Repentia is really weird. No one can join Repentia. No units. Which has been a whole thing of like, they've always been, yeah, you have your preacher dude, and they go with them. They'd have a judge system for running tournaments, maybe. How to play with Atlan Jackals after balanced data sheet. I have a video coming up about the Atlan Jackals and the vehicles generally. So there we go. What videos are coming next? So the Brood Brothers for Imperial Guard and Genestealer Cult video is now a lot more relevant, and it's already overdue. But probably before that, I'm going to do a video about mechanized Genestealer Cult, doing trucks, the rock grinders, using the bikes in support of that. And the reason why I'm doing that one first is because a very kind person went to my Ko-Fi. You can see there's a little link that's always here at the bottom of the screen, and it's also linked in the description. So you can click that link, go to Ko-Fi. There's a tier list, one of which is the Legionary tier list or the Inner Circle tier list, both of which let you request videos, and I will do those videos. In theory, it's an unlimited amount of videos you can request. You're paying me like £10 every month, so I will do videos for you. And also, while you're there, there's a one-off tip jar that you can just put money in, and that will make that bar fill up. And it will pop up on screen if you wanted to do it on stream. Yeah. Miracle Dice would be fine if they were uncapped. Or maybe. I mean, there's, again, debate about how many Miracle Dice you can use. I know it's like you can only use them for hit rolls or wound rolls, but the numbers of them. So it might be you could use 2 Miracle Dice to do a hit roll, and then later on not do a wound roll, but some dice, more than 1 dice is the point. I wish the canonists can join Retributors. The rerolls to hit would be really nice. Plus coming out of an emulator? Oh yes. Because currently the Retributors only have reroll 1s to wound, and that's, you don't even need to stay still for that, it's just a thing they have. It's annoying that every edition they change what the Retributors do. It was at one time they can just move and still shoot, no penalty for heavy weapons. That was nice in 8th edition. In 9th edition, it was, oh, they ignore cover, which was something. And now it's, if you fire your guns, you get to reroll 1s to wound, which makes popping out of an immolator less effective, but still actually probably very effective because the whole reroll to wound when we have no anti-tank is kind of necessary. We've got 2v2 coming up. Knights versus Town Custodes. Is that you also with Knights? Because that's Knights versus Town Custodes. That's pretty tough. I mean, the Custodes play a lot like Knights, actually. Small number of units, very tough to get rid of. A lot of good firepower. And combat ability. Very scary stuff. What have we got for other questions? I had many questions. Let's do the next questions. Is Codex Paywall a bad decision? So that is, if you want the rules for your army, you need to buy a book. Otherwise, you're stuck with just the index rules. Alternatively, we also have things like the app. Now you can only get the rules for the Tyranids on your app if you buy the Codex and scan the QR code in the back, which could mean you buy the book, scan the code, use it only on the app, and then just give the book to someone else. I don't know if you'd be allowed to go into Games Workshop and be like, hello, I would like to return this, please. I definitely haven't used it. No. I don't know if they would care. They seem to be pretty good in returns. I think just the whole idea of having to pay for rules is really stupid. I know that 40k and Games Workshop are very prevalent, but literally every other gaming company gives you the rules for free. That is like a starting point. Here's the rules. The rules are good. You can play the rules immediately, and if you like the game, buy our models, buy our terrain, get into the lore of that different gaming system. Do it like that. I don't like the idea that you have to pay for codexes, and I would say I have only bought the Battle Sisters 8th edition codex when it came out, because I didn't get any previous... I wasn't around able to get the Battle Sisters 2nd edition codex when it was around for like 2 months before it became invalid. So I bought that codex, but otherwise I haven't bought any other codex at all. It also annoys me that the new 10th edition codexes have the same cover art as the 9th edition. It leads to so much confusion. Now you can generally get a refund on your 9th edition codex if you can show that it was bought like later in the edition. So if you have a receipt that says, oh, I bought this in March, even though it's been more than a month, they may still refund it for you. Games Workshop tend to be pretty good like that. But if they wanted lore, I think they should stick just to the Black Library novels, which does abbreviate to BL. Their symbol is just like the letters BL in a triangle, in a kite shape that's black with like silver borders. Or their campaign books have the lore in campaign books. I like the campaign books that come with like little boxes. They're fun. They're fun. And then leave like the White Dwarf for the artwork and the pictures. The 8th edition Sisters Codex only really showed off the starter set that came out in November 2019 because all of the other models were not available for months after the launch. I know. I pre-ordered them on the last week in February. And then there was some sort of plague. So the plague happened and I didn't get those models and had to reorder them in like April. Yeah. Is the melter rule itself flawed? Would you add the strength within half range? I think that's a very good fix. If you're within half range with a melter gun, just +2 to the strength. Or +3, whatever your melter rule is. That would work as well as having the extra damage. I think that's good. Don't forget Battlescribe. Yeah, Battlescribe exists. Battlescribe was nearly killed, sort of. I considered doing a video about Battlescribe. I don't know if I still will. It's there, it's all written. I just don't think it's super relevant. 8th edition Guard Codex was about 5 years, yeah. And then 9th edition Guard Codex was like 2-3 months. I know, it wasn't great. That came out in like January 2023. And so it's gone by May 2023. Yeah, and that's of course if you bought it in their starter box set. Otherwise it took another month to get it, and then there's delays, and then there's pre-orders, and then there's getting it shipped. Yeah, not great. There's always .ru. Okay, good. Good to know. I was waiting for Warpedia to come back for 10th edition. It hasn't, as far as I can tell. It's only available for 9th edition. The Codex drip feed is also a bit annoying, because some people will indeed just wait like 2.5 years to get a Codex, and others just have one. And then Space Marines, for the last 2 editions at least, have had 2 codexes. The Chaos Marines had an extra codex in 8th edition, just to be like, here's your new Havocs, your new Obliterators, here you go. And they gave Havocs toughness 5, and they didn't need toughness 5. The reason they were given toughness 5 in 8th edition was to give you a tough unit that you should buy when they didn't have 2 wounds. Now they all have 2 wounds, and I don't think they need to have a toughness of 5. Yeah. New Recruit is a good alternative app. Okay, good. Yeah, Warpedia doesn't currently have 10th edition rules. It is a very good resource if I need to check a 9th edition or 8th edition rule, so it keeps coming up every now and then in my videos. It's like, here's a reference from the past. Yeah, so until it comes up, 10th edition rules may be a bit awkward. Having played since 2nd edition, do you have any thoughts on the fundamental changes of the rules over different editions? How have they changed, and how does it feel to play an army like Sisters of Battles? The biggest change for playing Sisters of Battle came between 7th edition and 8th edition because of the change to armor penetration. In 7th edition and earlier, there was a set armor penetration. It was, if it's like AP4, if you have a 4+, 5+, or 6+ save, you do not get a save against an AP4 weapon like a heavy bolter. So that was just flat gone. Bolt guns were AP5, so Imperial Guardsmen were not getting saves when Battle Sisters were shooting at them. Neither were Cultists, things like that. So Tau having a 4+ save was a novelty at the time. It was like the only army that had a 4+ save. Then Skitarii and Admech now have a 4+ save, and the Leagues of Votan have turned up with a 4+ save. That's good. I think we needed more 4+ save things. Also, Eldar are now a 4+ save. But Battle Sisters bolt guns, just being able to wipe out Eldar, Imperial Guard, Cultists, no save on any of them, was quite powerful. Then when we got the change to it, so it's AP like -1, so a heavy bolter is just to everything AP -1. Sure, you can do more damage to things like Terminators, which meant the Terminators and Space Marines, like as the Primaris range became, Space Marines got more wounds. Then it just meant that the Battle Sisters were protected by their armor, because they didn't have the toughness to protect them. Then, as soon as you get to 8th edition, -1 AP hurts the Battle Sisters quite a bit. And then when you got to 9th edition, the end of 9th edition, everyone in their dog has -1 AP on literally everything. So that really hurt them. Whereas in 7th edition, there was a serious debate online about whether Battle Sisters were just straight up better than Space Marines. 12 points for a Battle Sister, or 13 points for a 1-wound Space Marine. Yes, you get 1 extra toughness, but if it's anything that's like a massive explosion, something that causes instant death, which was done by anything that was double your toughness. So a las cannon would one-shot any character that was toughness 4. Because a las cannon at the time was strength 9, characters with toughness 4, and if you'd lost a wound to a las cannon, you were just dead. So the change was, yeah, Battle Sisters may be better because they have a 6+ invulnerable save, whereas the Space Marines did not. So anything that's going to be blowing away Space Marines is actually not killing as many Battle Sisters. So people were like, ooh, do I play Battle Sisters instead of Space Marines? Now the debate is, do I play Black Templars, or do I play literally any other Space Marine instead of the Battle Sisters? It was quite a big change to the armor penetration. But the start of 8th edition was generally fun. I really liked the index rules and then the 8th edition codex rules. With the Witch Hunters codex, which was like middle of 3rd edition, so like, we're talking, no, maybe a bit later. Yeah, end of 3rd edition, 4th edition, about 2003, 2004. Witch Hunters were really good. Quite good. 3rd edition, 4th edition, 5th edition, we had the same codex, which was kind of awkward for power creep. They had you nearly always rely on Exorcists, once Exorcists existed for Battle Sisters. They were fun. Penitent engines were very weak and could be easily taken down, but very punchy because of how armor penetration worked. They had high strength, and you just took the strength of your weapon, compared it to the vehicle's armor, which was probably also like a strength thing, so it was either like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Most things were front armor like 11, like a Rhino was front armor 11, but rear armor 10. So you'd roll 1 dice and need to get more than that. So if you're strength 10 and you roll a 2+, you're penetrating the front armor of a vehicle. And then like killing them from that. Whereas a lot of Seraphim did a lot of work. So things like the hand flamers just burning away enemies, though they were only 6-inch range at the time. Then they changed to 8-inch range, now they're 12-inch range. What was more important was the melter pistols, because deep strike, you could deep strike any distance away from enemies. So you could be 3 inches away from the rear armor of a Land Raider, and now your strength 8 Inferno pistol is rolling 2 dice for armor penetration, picking the highest, and its rear armor of a Land Raider was still like 12. I don't think it was 14 all the way around. Maybe it was 14 all the way around. But still, 2 dice, as soon as you get a 5, that's a penetrating hit, which means you could just be blowing up a Land Raider with an Inferno pistol. They were very good. Now we don't have that. And we can't fire Inferno pistols when we come from reserve, because there's nothing, at the moment, that lets the Battle Sisters drop 3 inches away, as we have with, like, the Genestealer Cult. Genestealer Cult detachment is really fun, and I think it will stick around for a while and probably be the dominant way to play, even when we get a new thing, a new codex and stuff. Catachans were fun with their demolition charge back in 3rd edition. Yeah, hand-thrown the battle cannon shell. Yeah, that was quite nice. That kept going until 5th edition at least, because I had a special weapons squad. They've just been killed recently and gone to, not even legends, they're just gone. So I've had to convert my special weapons squad into a Kazakin squad and a heavy weapon team squad. Yeah, yes, Land Raider and Monolith were 14 armor all the way around. Yeah, that was fun. Just demo charges. It used to be then a tactic to have a squad like that in a Valkyrie, have the Valkyrie come along, they jump out the back, they throw their demo charges, big boom. Melter guns after that if you want. That was the veteran squads as well. What else we got on the side? Really interesting getting Battle Sisters, but playing the most expensive army at the moment. How bad are Sisters of Battle prices compared to points? They suddenly have just got a lot worse. With a reduction in points. 10 points a model and you're still paying like £30, or with the discount from Firestorm Games, like £22, £24 for a squad of 10. It isn't amazing. So things like the Space Marines are going to be better. Custodes are a very cheap army to get into. And I do plan to do a video on like which army is the best for you, including the good price. Necrons are pretty good because you can pick them up cheap online, second hand. Same as Tyranids, they're going very cheaply online second hand. Space Marines are always going cheaply online second hand. So anything like that is okay. So Sisters of Battle are kind of an expensive army at the moment. It depends how many points you want to play. If you're just starting, 1,000 points is a really nice, comfortable battle size. The only thing then is you get some little bits of scalability. So Space Marines do a lot better at 1,000 points than they do at 2,000 points, because Oath of Moment lets you reroll all hits and wounds against one unit, and if there's only one unit, if there's like a lot fewer units in 1,000 points, then it's going to be doing a lot better at the 1,000 point level than at the 2,000 point level. So when they're doing tournaments and things and calculating, oh, who's winning at this, who's winning at this, they tend to all be 2,000 point tournaments. Some of them are 1,500, which is nice. I like 1,500 points. I think they should have been focusing on making that the new, like, standard again. I like that size. So, 1,000 points is a good one. If you get some Paragon War Suits, that's like a fifth of your army immediately. That's not bad. If you go more the tank route, then, again, the army gets cheaper. If you're going Horde of Battle Sisters, it's a more expensive army. So it depends on the style of army you've got as well. The way detachments are now self-contained, they can drip feed detachments, one for each faction. Yes! Yes, they could. That would be very nice. I expect them to do some detachments in things like these campaign books when they bring out some random box set. And also in things like White Dwarf. They'll have detachments in White Dwarf, as they've done before, where they did Our Martyred Lady in a White Dwarf detachment, and the Bloody Rose in a detachment that was in White Dwarf in like 9th edition, and also the Crusher Stampede that they did for the Tyranids. It turned up in White Dwarf. And they've also done things like the Cryptek. It was like a whole thing of like the... led by Cryptex, lots of Canoptek Necron units. That was a fun little detachment thing. Really cool, really cool. Yes, destroying vehicle weapons were cool at the time. It was alright, generally, the destroying vehicles, but either you had enough guns to take them down or not. It feels a lot like it is at the moment, where either you have enough anti-tank weapons or you don't. So sometimes I'm seeing, as I did then, lists are like, I have a lot of anti-tank weapons or I just don't bother. Not really a middle ground. Yes, as people are saying, Combat Patrol plus Boarding Patrol is a good place to start. I would start with a Boarding Patrol because I don't know how long that box is going to be around, and then the Combat Patrol after that. But they are upwards of one of the more expensive armies at the moment. And the models are not amazing. I did have a question about that. Why do you not like the Battle System models? So, they're either just push-fit models, which is not ideal, because then you end up, if you're getting like 2 squads, you have a lot of models that look exactly the same, and the push-fit squad has like, all of them are like, there's 4 models that are the same exact pose, but half of them have helmets on. That to me is not a totally different model. And then they have these really weird parchment things that are flowing against the logic of the model. Like the Seraphim. There's a Seraphim that's clearly meant to be flying towards someone, like dropping down from the sky, firing the bolt pistols as they go. Part of the model, like the cloak, is posed, so the cloak is flying away from that. So yeah, you got the wind, so it all works like that. So they're flying towards them. But then you've got like the grenades on their back are flush tight against them, so that suggests they're going the opposite way, and they have the rosary flying out towards the way they're going to be flying in a way that does not happen with aerodynamics. So I think they're really bad for like any kind of flow for the models, whereas the older, the Vampire Count ones were really nice because all of the different models all were flowing in the same way. All of the skeletons had their robes going the same way, the Graveguard the same. It was really quite nice for that. But the monopose things are not great. The push fit models, you know, it's easier to do, but they're all monopose. Then again, when you get the actual models that you glue all the bits together, they basically come up monopose at the same time. There's no real change in them. So it's always going to be, yes, if you have this model, you need to add these arms and this leg and this piece of cloth. Otherwise, the model doesn't go together and you haven't got enough bits for all the others. So you'll always see that model with the heavy flamer, where the heavy flamer is pointing towards the ground, which is a bit annoying. So the model's not great. Tanks-wise, I really don't like the Immolator big screen of like church glass. I don't think that fits the model at all. The Exorcist is alright. I like the Exorcist. It's based on the Metal Exorcist, which I have, which is a pain because you need to attach metal parts to a plastic rhino, and they fall off sometimes, and it's attaching metal to plastic, so the right glue isn't quite available. But I like the new plastic Exorcist. It's fine. The rhino it's whatever. It's the same rhino as like everyone else has. Paragon Warsuits I don't like. Anything that's like a baby carrier, I don't like. So the Grey Knight, not Death Dread, that's an orc thing. No. The Grey Knight, Dread Knight with the baby carrier look, I don't like it. The Battle Sister Paragon Warsuits where their legs are armoured but their arms are not, so you have these really tiny arms next to these really big arms, don't like that at all. Generally, I'm not liking the Battle Sister models. Yeah, the Battle Sister squad is also still advertised on the website of Games Workshop as being able to build 5 Celestians from it. So I have a video on how to make some Celestians, and it's like a fan-made Celestian index card. Might be nice to use. It's not bad. Well, it's designed to be a little bit bad because it needs to fit with the rest of the theme that the Battle Sisters have got going on at the moment, which is being a little bit rubbish. And if you want to buy them again, we have the affiliate link for Firestorm Games. You can go there and buy some Battle Sister squads for cheaper than normal. Aha. Monolith was good. Monolith was fun. Monolith was a big thing. You couldn't, reduce its armor save. Yeah, you couldn't stop it with anything. It was meant to be, basically before the Lords of War came around, that was the only thing that was like a Lord of War. Yeah, and then, 3rd edition, if you killed all the Necrons because it was per model that you destroyed, then if you killed 75% of the Necron models on the table, their army just disappeared. That's how it was in like 3rd, 4th edition. Quite a fun rule, but it meant that you couldn't just go a mix of tanks and infantry, because if you target all the infantry and you killed like 20 Necron warriors, then yeah, that was the entire army disappearing. Random tangent, is there anything 30k or Age of Sigmar that interests you? Ooh, okay, I do have a question that's similar. That's a good one. It's a good question. Goodly question. I can't find it right now. 30k is okay. It's okay. I've played a little bit of it. I like the way they managed to make all of the different Space Marine factions feel a little bit different. The models are quite nice, having the true scale tactical size Marines. So if you want to get some tactical Marines now, that's probably the best way to do it, getting some 30k stuff. But then the problem is getting the special weapons that you need for like, and heavy weapons. I don't mind tactical Marines, but at the moment people are taking Intercessors instead because they're, even though a little bit cheaper than tactical Marines, you can have them in squads of 5 and they get sticky objectives. So Intercessors are currently better than tactical Marines, which is unfortunate because I really like tactical Marines. They're very nice. Here we are. Would you ever cover Age of Sigmar, and what army would you play? Come on, chat. Look at me. Tell me, which Age of Sigmar army do you think I play? Is it really going to be that difficult to guess? I do have Skaven as well, but those vampire counts. I don't particularly plan to go into Age of Sigmar, but I do play the Sol Bliget Grivlords. Yes. So I've carved out a little niche for myself in Battle Sisters and Genestealer Cult that is doing great for now. I'm quite happy with that. If I was going to start like a completely new channel with none of this already existing, then being a vampire that plays Gravelords would make sense and be quite fun. I think I could get away with that. It's okay. I'm finding it. Age of Sigmar is fine. There is some demand for Age of Sigmar content online, just not as much as 40k. You can just be one of a million 40k people who talk about it on YouTube, and that will do better than if you're just by yourself doing Age of Sigmar stuff. So unfortunately, market trends and whatnot will push me towards playing 40k, because I do need to get the income of the money, because food, I like food. Food tastes nice. I like to have it. I would also like the good yellow, so I can paint some more Imperial Fist Space Marines, because I keep just getting given Space Marines. Like the Infernus Marine, that's a new free model you can get to paint. Just walk into a Games Workshop and say, hey, I want to paint a Space Marine, and then they'll give you an Infernus Marine. So if you go to 5 different Games Workshops, there's a squad of Infernus Marines. They're very nice, and Genestealers hate this one weird trick, which is to be an Infernus Marine in the middle of the board. Big area of no, 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 because of all the Overwatch. And they get to do Overwatch for free. They do get to do Overwatch for free. I think they do. Probably do. That sounds right. I'll have to double check, but yes. 1,000 points is the most common sized game in your group. That's cool. That's cool. We do a lot of 1,500. That's pretty standard. Some people go to 2,000, but then they find that in a like 3-4 hours that we have to play, you don't finish the game, which can be really annoying. It's like, oh, that was a fun 3 turns. Maybe if it got on better, then like, no. It wouldn't, no. Yeah. You could have won if there was 4 turns, or maybe 5 turns. Then you just don't build lists that have that late game fighting. So I think 1,000 points, 1,500 are the best way to play it. Rating every Sisters of Battle model sounds like a fun video. I mean, I could do that. But then it's going to be, this I don't like, this I don't like, this is weird. A lot of the Games Workshop models are like that. They're all very monopose, and there's not a lot of variations for that. I think I've probably done a, here's all the models generally that I don't like. There's not too many Sisters of Battle models, so that's something. The Palatine. If you have the Palatine model and you also have a Battle Sister squad, just cut the pommel and like the haft off the sword that's on her hip. Cut off the rosary, because having someone running forward with a rosary just looks really stupid. And take the power sword from the Battle Sister squad and put it on the Palatine. She's wielding a power sword. That's her whole thing. She swings a power sword, gets mortal wounds on it. So just do that. Definitely do that. Yeah. Oh, the Centurions. That was another ugly model. Like, let's put a Space Marine in power armor and then put that power armor inside another Space Marine. That was their attempt at how do we make Space Marines more Space Marine, and then they were like, oh, we just totally reinvent them and do Primaris Marines. That's how it's going to be. Everyone makes fun of the Night Carrier. Yeah. And then they do it again and again and again. You look like a squig kind of vampire. Squigs are fun. Squigs are fun. I like the, well, I don't like, the tactical rock squig that came out recently is a very weird creature. It's fun to have it like, oh, yep, there it is. It exists. That's just, it's an anvil squig. You hit it and it likes being hit. So that's a weird thing for it. It's like, yes, this is my dog. It totally communicates in me hitting it on the head. That's not amazing. See, everyone's a comedian. It's like, oh, it's wood elves. Oh, it's orcs and goblins. Oh, it's orcs. Yeah, Flesh Eater Courts, they're quite fun. It's a strange thing that they took the vampire count range and they're like, okay, we have a spirit host and a black coach. Let's make an army out of that. And just that's how you got the Night Haunt. Oh, we have the 1 ghoul unit. Great, let's make an army out of that. Oh dear. They did make nice true scale Beaky Boys, and today they announced that they've released the Space Marine Heroes range, which is a Primaris thing. You buy a box, it's a gacha game. I did a short video on it, it's like a 1-minute video. Here's a thing, you buy it, and then, you know, you might get the model you want. You might get an intercessor, you might get an assault marine, you might get a guy with a heavy bolter that's in the bigger Gravis armor. Oh dear, it's a weird thing. So you can eventually, if you get the 7 of them, make a kill team out of it. Oh no, 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 bad way to do it. Then again, if you play Deathwatch, just having these random dudes that you pick up along the way and throwing them in a Deathwatch squad is a really cool way to do it. There's no way to have Infernus Marines yet, which is kind of an annoyance. I was hoping they would have that. Yeah, I do like the true scale Beakies in 30k. Don't like the Mark III armor, don't like the other armor. How's the music today? Is the music today behaving? It's okay, it's about the right level, it's not being weirdly squeaky. Good, good, good. Yeah. Have I considered using Infernus Marines just to decorate bases? That's something you could do. Then again, if you want to go the Age of Sigmar route, not even to go the Age of Sigmar route, you can get a nice big Sigmarine, which has a big shield and a spear, and you can pretty easily convert that into a Battle Sister just with a big shield. So there's your shield ladies. Get them in for the -1 to wound, or just throw that in as like, say, hey, it's a Paragon Warsuit. It's got a big spear. And the shield, just attach a multi-melter or something. Whatever you're not using from the Immolator, attach that to the shield. There you go. Off you go. There's your Paragon Warsuits. I don't know about the Wood Elves. The Wood Elves had some nice models, actually. They were the least well-selling thing for all of the fantasy range. So I think it was said that the box of Tactical Marines outsold all of the Wood Elf range in terms of profit. It was absurd. So I could see why they just dropped the Wood Elves so hard. The Wood Elves on the Stags, they were quite nice. The Archers, they were quite nice. There's all the good stuff there. Paul likes his wide Centurion, lads. Oh no. Yeah, I mean, expanding. Expand Centurions? You mean you could put a Centurion model inside something else? I mean, you could then add them, you can put them in a transport now. I think they can go in the Impulsor transport. That will fit 4 of them. Of course, you'd only ever use 3 of them because of the way points per model work. But 3 of them in that would work, yeah. Why are there no Squig Swarms in 40k? Oh, they used to have Snotling Swarms, and you'd put the Snotling Swarms with your big shock attack gun, and then you'd fire the Snotling bases one at a time, and that's how you got them. It's a very weird thing. Space Marine 247, hello recent subscriber. Love Traitor Guardsman. Finally they get some rules reputation. What is my take on the Traitor Guard squad? I use Traitor Guard squads in my Chaos Marine army. I like that they have, you know, an armor save when they're on an objective, so having one of them squads with a Mark of Nurgle and some sniper rifles, 2 sniper rifles and a grenade launcher, sit on a back objective, you can't be killed. If the enemy tries to shoot you, then you throw the, aha, I'm Nurgle, 1 command point, you just can't shoot me. That is your objective forever unless they actually strike down at them. Yeah. They're a very nice squad. A lot of people have gone more for the generic cultists because they have sticky objectives. That's quite nice as well. I do like the Traitor Guard though. I considered doing more like chaosy stuff, but Genestealer Cult and Battle Sisters have taken off so well. I'll stick with them for now. I will do a video maybe far future, months maybe, on Chaos and stuff. I especially like the cultist side of Chaos Space Marines rather than the regular Marines. I have just always have. Alpha Legion, the rules in like, what was it called? Chapter Approved. That was a whole book thing where it was like, here's some extra rules. So it was like, here's your Alpha Legion cultist. 3 points for a cultist model with a knife. Swarms of them. A lot of fun. 6th edition, we got models for them. They were fun. I had as many of them as I could. Great stuff. Heroes of the Chapter is a replacement from the Command Squad. Yes, that new box that they advertised along with all the Space Marine stuff is a replacement for the Command Squad. They also have a, like, Space Marine heroes, different to Heroes of the Chapter, which is a random gacha, buy a mystery model off the shelf, and that will give you a model that you can use in a kill team or something. So they are different things, but very similarly named, very annoyingly. It's like a harpy and a harpy. Is that a fantasy demon, or is it a giant tyrannid creature? What's a Primaris Psyker? Is it a librarian that's a Psyker, or is it the Imperial Guard Primaris Psyker? Who's to say? Ooh, that was a, it made a weird noise, but it did come up. Thank you very much for the £3. 3 monies. It's the tip. Thank you a lot. I do appreciate the money. Ah. It's very nice of you to do so. Thank you again, Zerota. I put your name at the end of all of the videos as a thank you for being the person that you are and giving me money every month. That is a benefit you can get through being a YouTube member. So, yeah, that definitely sounds like scrap code. I did try and fix it. I really did. It's annoying that it just doesn't seem to... The fix has created new problems. It's a live stream. It is just meant to go pa-ping, and that's how it goes, instead of that, like, dying voice noise. So, that's how it goes. Oh dear. Yeah, so there's a join button if you want that. So if you join that and go for the higher tier, which is, I think, £5 a month, then you can have your name at the end of all of the videos. But thank you for that. There's been some nice Primaris kit bashes for Centurions. That's quite cool. That's quite cool. Yeah. Yeah. They should have expanded Lost and the Damned. They really should have. It would have been quite nice if they just had that. They had it for the Imperial Armor stuff. And they've said, yeah, it sort of exists. You can now still have, in Legends, the one-off Psychers, and you can put them in squads like the Cursed Cultists. They go quite nicely with the Cursed Cultists. You're going to shoot the Cursed Cultist? We'll now have a 4+ invulnerable save. Except every time I've tried any one of my Psychers, Genestealer Cult Magos, Primaris Psyker, that Chaos Psyker, I have always rolled a 1. Every single time, and blown up D3 of my models rather than getting the actual benefit. So I've, for the moment, just sworn off Psychers until I stop rolling 1s. That's the only unit that I keep rolling 1s for. Otherwise, it's going okay. Yeah. Oh dear. Hope Rogel Dawn returns in Centurion armor. No! No. And he'd only have 1 arm. Yeah. We should expand lots of dams. Yeah, we can put mirrors on the shields. Stop talking about Dr. Krankenflu's videos. Oh no. Oh dear. Centurion baby carriers, yep. Invictor Warsuit piloted by a Centurion. No. Oh, they're just going to put Centurions. They're going to... I don't know what they're going to do for the Grey Knights range. Just put Centurions, expand Centurions, and now they're for them in the Space Marines. Yeah, Lost and Damned would be cool. Expand them. They also need to give them the Librarian Dreadnought that they have for the Blood Angels. Just give that straight up to the Grey Knights. They're the Psychic faction. Why do they not have Librarian Dreadnoughts? Just give them that. I'm not going to try and fix the tech stuff now. I'll just have to fix it later. I'm hoping to get into 40k and interested in Sisters. Should I even play them now? Now that they're one of the worst factions. I would still get them. I mean, by the time you've actually built up an army to play 1,000 points or even 500 point games, they work okay at 500 points. You can have a very fun game at 500 points. Yeah, then you'll build them up. And by the time they get better, it'll probably be the January balance patch by the time you have a decent force. And then the points and rules will change again. So it'll be fine. Make an offering to Zinj to fix the psychic woes. It's... Well, no, well, maybe not. No, yeah, the Emperor's just punishing me for using psychic powers. Thankfully, the Inquisitor, which I do have and use in my Battle Sister army, does not have to roll to use any psychic stuff. It's just automatic. And having an auto-hitting 2d6 strength 5 thing with devastating wounds is pretty nice. It's pretty nice. Cherub Centurions. No, that's awful. Oh, I hate it. I hate it. It's gonna be the unit we get next, though. It's not going to be my really cool idea of snipers, Battle Sister snipers, where one of them is just praying for the shot to hit. You could probably have in that box, so if you're going to get 6 models for 3 sniper teams, 2 blind foes and an eye patch. Then you could have, like, the sister is firing blind, or the person praying has their head covered, so they're praying blind. Yeah, it's fine. Mike, can I look at a 1k Sisters of Battle list for me? I absolutely can. I mean, if you wanted me to, like, talk it over with you in the course of an hour and where to change things and what to do things better, I have the Inner Circle thing you can get on Ko-fi, which gives you time, like, one-on-one with me to fix and talk about stuff. Or if you want, if you're in the Discord is linked in the description. There's a place for army lists, and then everyone in the Discord can help you out with the 1,000-point Battle Sister list. Yeah, absolutely. So please join the Discord if you like. If they ever expand Dark Mechanicus, I hope the regular Mechanicus gets something as well. Well, they'll probably only expand Dark Mechanicus for 30k, I think. Otherwise, it's just going to be part of Chaos Space Marines. Here's an extra Walker thing. Here's your guys with the zappy sticks. They're in Legends now. You can still use Legend Unit. People don't know that you can still use Legend Units in competitive games like you have every single day, sort of, at your club. You just can't use them in most tournaments, unless they say you can use them in tournaments. Yeah. But you can use the Legends, and the reason people don't know about the Legends is because the Legends do not appear in the 40k app, which is super annoying and is why the app is rubbish. So I hope that the alternatives that people have been mentioning to the 40k app actually give you the Legends rules that you can add. Yeah. What's my thought on the fantasy aesthetic for the sci-fi aesthetics compared to Age of Sigmar 40k? I mean, I like fantasy stuff generally, but there's a lot of different companies that do fantasy models better than Games Workshop. So Kings of War gives you a very nice thing. I bought a Kings of War set. It was something like £20, and I got 50 models in that. 20 zombies, 10 ghouls, 20 skeletons, from which I made some Graveguard, a large mass of skeletons, an extra unit of skeletons, and some ghouls, and then, yeah, a load of zombies. Everyone was using their zombies because their zombies were just so much better than Games Workshop's. So I think they do okay in 40k. The models generally are okay in 40k. Battle Scribers, Legends Visible, nice, good. I'm glad they do. Warpedia used to also have the do you want Legends on or off, which is very nice. 40k's got a bunch of fantasy stuff now. Yeah, Space Orcs, Space Elves, Space Dwarves. They do indeed have all of them. They were much more prominently those things, but in like 2nd edition, the Space Dwarves were basically the same as Orcs. There was very little difference between them and the way they played and the Orcs. Because they had bikers, they had these ramshackle truck things, they had the trains in the epic scale, and then they had the tough infantry, just with guns rather than combat stuff. Yeah. Do you not love the Marines t-shirt guns? Yeah, it's fine. They look better if not just Legends. Yeah. Yeah, so absolutely look into the Blackstone Fortress stuff and Beastmen. The Beastmen you can mainline in 40k. That's part of the Chaos Space Marine Index. It's like the very last datasheet is the Felgor Beastmen. So that is, I know it's meant to be the special kill team one, but your 4 Beastmen are now just part of that. Yes. Yeah, the Space Dwarves appeared at the end of 2nd edition, no, end of 1st edition. You had dwarves as part of Imperial Guard, which was in aesthetic style the current Imperial armor for like 30k. Then, yeah, they were around in 2nd edition for not a lot of time. Really, no support at all, and then they were hard dropped. And it was just, yeah, there was a vague reference further on the line that, oh, the Leviathan, when they appeared, they went through the squat homeworlds, and now there's no more squats, basically, apart from appearing every now and then. Yeah, and then they've come back for 9th edition, and everyone hated them because of their rules. Yes. Ah, dear. What was I going to say? Something. Oh, Space Zombies. Yeah, the people who do Kings of War also do a sci-fi zombie set. So if you wanted something for a cursed cultist, and I've used this squad, then you can get a nice thing, and you can like mix and match bits and just make a bigger thing that's a torment. Doesn't mean you'd have a wacky squad size if you put the Beastmen together. Well, yeah, it would have to be you use enough models so you have the 10 of them. So some proxying may be required. But yes. One question, what's the precautions if I equip all my sisters with flamers by accident? If you just use the kit and you have 4 flamers and then maybe 5 bolters, that's a Dominion squad. You just straight up have a Dominion squad there. Otherwise, 4 flamers plus the superior is the maximum you can have. That's a Dominion squad. Otherwise, yeah, you'll have to pretend that some are bolt guns. Okay, YouTube's telling me there's an advert starting for some people. I'm just gonna get a cup of water very quickly. I'll be back in like the next 10 seconds. Don't worry, I'm almost still here. Oh, good, good. The invisibility spell has ended. I think that's the end of the advert. There doesn't seem to be a way to stop adverts turning up on live streams. It just seems to happen. YouTube is then like, hey, so we're going to do adverts anyway. We'll tell you when there's going to be an advert sometimes. Not everyone will get an advert, which is weird. Even if you don't have like ad blockers or you don't have YouTube Premium or something. And then they're like, so the only question we want to ask is, do you want paying for the adverts we're going to run anyway? And I'm like, yeah, give me money for that. I mean, it's like a penny per 100 views or something. But it's awful. Anyway. Right, where were we? Building a Seraphon Genestealer Cult army. Ooh, nice. I mean, aberrants are very obvious things for them. You could use your Croxigors as aberrants. The size would be a bit bigger, but that's pretty cool. I'm pretty sure that Kings of War has a Lizardman range because they were one of the unsupported or less supported Warhammer Fantasy armies. So Kings of War did a very nice set of them along with the Bretonnian range. So if you're thinking of getting back into Warhammer Fantasy and seeing all the Bretonnian stuff they're bringing out, again, I'm pretty sure Kings of War has some very cheap stuff like Pegasus Knights, loads of man-at-arms and things like that. Yeah. Annoyingly, I lost a few people on the advert. I hate the adverts when they come in. You got an advert, but it's skippable. That's good. Where's the Sister Holy Water X-Vampire joke? I mean, I don't know if I've done that one before. Maybe I will. I can just throw it in again. What's 30k? That is where it's set in the Horus Heresy. Yeah, so it's a 10,000 years before 40k. It was always designed as something that's gonna happen. Like, they knew when they started 40k, no, they knew when they started 30k what was exactly going to happen in 40k, so it's all like a lot of foreshadowing stuff. They're like, oh, I'm sure this will be fine. Oh, we have loads of data we just found. Yeah, just put it in archive. I'm sure we'll find some time to look at it. And then they never look at it. It's the prequel trilogy, exactly. Yeah. Recently for a Lizardman, I got like a random Lizardman body, which was like in a kit bash thing, just piles of stuff. And I've turned it into an aberrant because it has the nice tail. So I've got an aberrant model like that, just from a Saurus model. I mean, you could use Croxigors instead as aberrants, but yeah, that's pretty good. I don't think there's an Empire equivalent in Kings of War. No, because the Empire was selling quite well for Warhammer Fantasy, so they didn't bother trying to like muscle in that market. Okay, what's my next question? Have you seen the vampire movie Morbius? Oh, right, okay, here's the film Morbius summarized from what I can remember. Now, I watched it, I think it was like a year ago. I was either ill with the plague, the cure for the plague, or it was just really, really hot. So it was like 38 degrees inside and 37 degrees outside. So if you want that in Fahrenheit, that's like 105, 110 degrees inside the house. Like, the room around you is warmer than the internals of your body. Not a good thing to have happen. So I know that in places like where we've got people, Spain, in Canada, in Australia, in United States, there's air conditioning in every house. So it's like, oh, it's awful, it's 100 degrees outside, but inside it's a very nice 40. Like, oh, that's good, because it's warmer inside for me than outside. So I watched this film in some delirium. I'll tell you all about the film Morbius if you've never seen Morbius. So there's a guy, he's called Michael Morbius. Every time they say his name, it's always in full. He's always Michael Morbius. Never just Michael, or never Morb, because that's his catchphrase, as we all know. So right at the start, he's like, oh, I want to catch some vampire bats. They have a blood thing, I have a blood thing, we need them. So he slices straight through his hand, which gives you the theme of blood, vampires, and him being a really, really bad doctor. Never cut through your hand. There's like tendons and stuff there. Prick a finger. That's what they do when they're doing blood tests and stuff. Yeah, so he goes back to whatever fictional place he's living, the one with probably has Spider-Man in, he's in the same universe. So that fictional town of like New York, you just took a British city and added the word new to it. Gotta be fictional. And then he goes to see Matt Smith. Again, he's only ever called Matt Smith. I don't think he has an actual character name. It's always like, hey, Matt Smith, hey, Michael Morbius. And that's how they do it. And he's like, oh, I'm in pain. I'm in so much pain. He asks for a doctor. And the guy's with it. He's like, yes, you were the doctor. Remember how you were the doctor? And he's just like, this hurts so much. There's no medication. Then Michael Morbius comes in. He says, hey, you know how we have bad blood, and you know that's a blood thing? Bats. I think bats is the cure for the blood thing. Matt Smith just doesn't answer him, and then there's like the rest of the scene is him staring directly at the camera and very slowly drinking a martini. And then Michael Morbius is like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to do a blood science experiment thing. He's a bad doctor, remember? And it's like a Dracula reference. He's on a boat. People are going to die. I kind of got that. There's a big bat blender. He blends some bats. He injects it into himself. And oh no, he becomes a vampire. Now that is just not true. That is not how vampires are made. He doesn't say it's morbin time. But if I remember, he says it's time to morb. Like, you know, Luke and Vader. Where they're like, he doesn't say, no, I am your father. No, he does say that. He says, no, I am your father, rather than Luke, I am your father. That's the thing. Then he kills everyone in the boat. Michael Morbius just kills everyone. And the weird thing is, everyone in the boat is black. They're all black people. That seems to be like the only theme of the movie I could figure out. He then punches his girlfriend unconscious and swims away. She wasn't black, so she got to live. So Michael Morbius is racist, but in vampire form. Which is the strange thing. So Matt Smith finds him and he's like, hey, why did you kill a bunch of black people? Was it just that everyone there was black, or was it like a targeted thing? So it's like the film Get Out. It's scarier if you are a black person. Then the film seems to think it was showing that Michael Morbius wasn't always a racist, and it does this flashback where it's like him with a little girl in hospital, and he's like, yeah, it's a black girl, and Michael Morbius calls her his friend, so he has a black friend. And the movie seemed to be saying that that meant he wasn't racist, because the girl he was treating obviously had no choice but to trust him as she's in his care. But the movie didn't seem to understand that. Yeah, it's so weird. So then Matt Smith finds like a rat in the lab, blends it off screen, drinks the rat, and then the mobbing is doubled. He then makes a point of killing anyone he meets. He kills people of every age, every gender, white children, a black elderly woman. He's really just murdering, but murdering with diversity. That's the best I could see. So the movie was trying to tap in some weird social discourse that is better to just... Is it better just to kill black people than to kill everyone? A question that the film does not answer. This is not a good film whatsoever. Not at all. Then Michael Morbius is like, oh, I need to stop Matt Smith. He's trying to make some kind of point, like racism might be bad. So he takes all this plasma from paramedics. They're going to treat this little girl who has like an illness. She isn't racist. She's just living her life. That isn't really explored. But then Michael Morbius goes to a petrol station, just walks in, breaks a black man's hand. Theme of the movie has to be re-established. And then he says he's Venom. Why did he say he's Venom? Venom has a black suit. I don't know if that relates to like race or the theme of racism, but it's time to do an equality mob. It's a weird thing. Yeah, I just did not understand that. Whatever point the movie was trying to make, I was just getting lost. It might have been the heat. It might have been the plague I was going through. But I was pretty sure that Michael Morbius only killed black people. Then he fought Matt Smith until Matt Smith was like, I'm done. He walked off set. And then Michael Morbius fought a CGI version of Matt Smith, also played by Michael Morbius, but one was in a glowing CGI orange suit to represent like prison uniforms and his crimes against humanity. It was standard Marvel stuff. You fight your mirror. And then one of them said, you're going to get mobbed, I think. And then he got punched. I can't remember anything after that or how it ended. I think I even tried to like attach some meaning to it. But I just cannot think of any reason why the director would have Michael Morbius only hurt and kill black people. It was just so specific. I assume there must have been some reason behind it. If you want a decent vampire series, I recommend Hellsing Abridged. It's very good, it's on YouTube, and it took about 9 years to make. But don't watch Morbius. It's the strangest thing. Yeah. It's Morbin time and then... Oh, is that how it is? He just said it's Morbin time and then the movie ended. See, that explains it. I just wasn't expecting him to like just look straight down the camera and make a peace sign as he did it. Oh dear. Oh dear. So no, I have never morbed. Yeah. The 30k models are quite nice. A lot of them are pretty compatible with the 40k stuff, although anything that was compatible like Devastator squads are still there. Tactical squads, they're still there. Assault squads are going off to Legends, except if you're Black Templars, then you can have Assault squad, which is basically, it's called a Crusader squad. It's 10 models without jump packs, and they can run in advance and then charge. Yeah. Yes, don't forget your Legends. Do have a Renegade Heavy Weapons team. Cool. Yeah, it's very useful. Not a problem. I'm glad I could be here to help. What will happen to the Combat Patrol boxes when all the unit size costs are dropped? I don't know. The way Combat Patrol work is the Combat Patrol game is a whole thing in itself. So each Combat Patrol is designed to be able to fight any other Combat Patrol, regardless of like the absurdity of the points. In the White Dwarf, this month's White Dwarf that came out like 2 days ago and got delivered to my house, then they have a Combat Patrol mission. It's like, oh yeah, there's 25 guardsmen against like 25 orcs, but the guardsmen will die twice over. Wonderful. You put the Discord list, the list in the Discord. Great. I'll look at it later. Yeah. No, that's what I call character development, said the doctor. Oh man. Yeah, so there you go. There's a full-on review of Morbius. Next question. With the introduction of the games, the points change, would you say it's time to panic and break open some heads to feast on the goo within? Now, this may be a reference to the Death Guard and, like, having more zombies, because you can have a lot more plague zombies now. But let's just assume, in general, in casual games, you're still going to be able to have a lot of fun, regardless of points differences. The Death Watch, though, are a bit unfortunate. The Death Watch had a very bad, like, the last 2 years, they were on 30% win rates. It was kind of awful. No matter what they changed, it wasn't enough. The Pox Workers are not, I've mentioned it there, Pox Workers are not battle lines, so you can only have 3 units of them, not 6, but that's still 60 Pox Workers, because I'm pretty sure you can take them in squads of 20 rather than squads of 10. So you can still do a kind of Poxwalker Horde, you'll just have to supplement it with things from Legends, maybe. The, what do they call it? Galapox Infected. They're pretty fun and Nurgle compatible. You can have them with any Chaos Army that's got Nurgle, and anything that's the Death Guard. Yes, they're compatible with them. Yeah, Galapox are fun. So you can have them, you can have Poxwalkers. Otherwise, supplement with Cultists, just Death Guard Cultists. They're different rules for them Cultists compared to everyone else's Cultist, which is a little bit strange. Yeah, but you can do a fun horde, and in my How to Win with Death Guard, which is still a viable video, I do recommend one of the ways of doing it is just horde mode. It's very fun to play against as well, which is the important thing. The Genestealer Cult have a horde, but they're coming back, so it's a little bit annoying for your opponent, but only a little. Not as bad as playing Necrons, where it's the same model getting up and being like incredibly tough. The Death Watch, though, I was just about to play with the Death Watch and have a Death Watch army all ready to go, and I finished a Death Watch model yesterday. It's not looking as good. It's still going to be quite fun, though. I'm going to have no problems playing the Death Watch with the Death Watch Black Spear detachment. Don't need to go the other route, the Gladius Task Force. The only reason Death Watch were doing better was because of weird interactions with their command point things, so you can have like Hellfire Shells on the Desolation Marines, so you can fire out of line of sight and be wounding on a 2+. That was kind of absurd. It was just deleting anything. Massive Necron squad, it gets deleted because you're wounding on a 2+ rather than a 5-1, yeah, anything like that. So Death Watch definitely took a bit of a hit, but it's probably only going to put them back on the same level as Space Marines, so I think they're going to be generally fine. And the level that Death Watch play at, and Space Marines generally, is a bit different depending if it's at 1,000 points or 2,000 points because of the way the Oath of Moment works. If you're playing it at Kill Team level, then they are... It just rerolls to hit, because it is going to be quite powerful even lower then, but 1,000 points reroll to hit and wound is really nice. At 2,000 points, it's far less effective. I think Space Marines are doing quite nicely. They're a very nice, middle-of-the-road, average army. They have some powerful things that are good counters against Necron hordes and big blobs, but if you play MSU, then the Space Marines are way down. I had a lot of fun recently playing with the Bunker, The Hammerfall bunker, it felt very Imperial Fist, which is one I play. If you've seen a lot of my videos, and I show off a lot of my Imperial Fist models every now and then it's fun. It's very psychological, as I cannot go to that part of the battlefield, or 4 of my units are going to be hit by heavy bolters again and again. Yeah, so it's a thing they have to consider. So it's got a psychological element, and it's not bad, and it can defend your backline if you need it to. So having it in a corner and it has like a corridor and your rear is very nice. And there's no limits on where you can place fortifications and things now. It's just another unit in your army. You can't put them in reserve because they have no movement value. Oh no, wait, I guess technically you could put them in reserve. Because when they turn up from reserves, like the outflank stuff, strategic reserves, you just put them on the battlefield within 6 inches of the table. I'm going to have to double check that. I'll put a note suddenly for myself. Can outflank with fortifications. Okay. Good. I'll have to look into that. Yeah, so Space Marines are quite fun to play. They're doing quite nicely. And there's so many units, you have so much choice. I've been going through all of the stuff that I know is going to go to Legends, you know, get it used before it's away there. But again, Legends, you can still use them. I've had a 100% win rate with your Battle Sisters playing them Bloody Rose themed. That's nice. Good. I mean, Bloody Rose themed, so that's going to be Seraphim, Pistols, also Repentia, Arcoflagellants. Trying to do Sisters as a combat army isn't the worst idea. It's pretty good. What should we know about the Sisters sub-factions? Oh, bunker spawning. Yeah, Dawn of War style. You could absolutely do it like that. Although it's going to be a Space Marine tactic rather than an Imperial Guard tactic. And the good thing is, now that even though the Overwatch stuff has changed, the Hammerfall bunker, its defensive array is not affected by Overwatch because it's not actually Overwatch. It's a weapon trait on the actual weapon. It's not that it can fire Overwatch for free or it can do a command point thing like that. Whereas there's like Saber weapon platforms. I think it's one of them. The Imperial Guard Legends heavy weapon thing. Or Space Marine Legends or Space Marine Forge World. It might be Space Marines Forge World. It could be Imperial Guard Forge World. I think it's Imperial Guard Forge World. That is a defense turret and it can fire Overwatch for free. Now it's specifically going to be once per player turn and it does it for free, but only that one Overwatch. So the defensive array of the Hammerfall bunker is not affected. It's going to be firing 4 times because it says you can fire up to 4 times. Yes. No, I wasn't thinking like the static Earthshaker. No, there's a weapon platform which is just like a pair of heavy bolters or a searchlight or something like that. Oh, the Spore System lost it in the new Codex, did it? Oh, that's a shame, if it has, in the 10th edition Tyranid Codex. I haven't really looked at that because, you know, Tyranid's not my army, and I wasn't super keen to try and dredge up some review of Codex that is there but not really there. We'll see what it's like when it actually comes out and people can start playing it. Then we'll see. Yeah. What do you need to know about the Sister sub-factions? So the way sub-factions are going to work in the rules for 10th edition is there's going to be lots of detachments, and each detachment is themed around a sub-faction. Could be tarantula turrets, yeah, or saber weapon platforms. It's one or the other. Yeah. Yeah, them ones. I think one's Forge World, one's Legends. Which is weird, depending on which one's which. And one of them is for Space Marines, which also has a similar version for Imperial Guard. I'm not sure which. Sub-factions, yes, so there's going to be detachments that are themed for certain sub-factions. So when the Space Marine Codex comes out in a couple of weeks, there is going to be a Outrider, like Assault Marines and Bikes detachment. There's going to be a like the Raven Guard detachment, which is going to be a lot of, again, probably more Assault Marines, and the Jump Pack stuff, and the Scouts are themed around that, giving you bonuses for them. But you don't need to take any of them if you're one specific sub-faction. So you could be Imperial Fists and do the one of their sub-factions. Like at the moment, as long as you only use whatever it says in like the detachment rules. So the Blood Angel detachment, it has some limits, like you can't take this squad, you have to take this squad instead. You can't take this squad, like the the Deathwatch one. The Deathwatch squad says you can't take Tactical Marines, you can't take Assault Marines, you can't take Scout Marines. Otherwise, you can use any of the Space Marine things. So you can use a generic Space Marine army, like Imperial Fists, under the Deathwatch sub-faction detachment, and it's totally fine. Yeah, so there's no longer the need to paint scheme your armies for those different things. So none of them are Hive Fleet based. I will then get into what I was actually going to talk about, which probably what you expected to be. Yes. How do they actually work? So there's 6 different Battle Sister sub-factions of the main orders. Bloody Rose is all about combat, so they like Repentia, they like the Sacrosancts, they like getting in there and stabbing people and using bolt pistols and stuff. There's the Sacred Rose, which is a lot of shooting. They're very calm, collected. They know that miracles are going to happen around them. They expect it. And they like a lot of gun lines, so Retributor squads. They have a special Seraphim squad that was in Dawn of War. Dawn of War is a nice fun place, so the Sacred Rose come from Dawn of War, or the other way around. Yes. Yes. They were the one that was chosen to be in them, in Dawn of War. Our Martyred Lady just really loves it when their characters die. And they get better and think, it's great. Where someone died and then let's go. Yeah, so that's how they work generally. They're the poster girls. They're not quite the generic one. A lot of the armies that have like the poster thing, like the Space Marines, the Ultramarines, the Imperial Guard, the Cadians, not the Canadians, totally different faction. Then it was like, they do their army special rule, but better for Battle Sisters is the Ebon Chalice. They're a lot like the Dark Angels in lore. They know something. They have some secret that they're not going to tell anyone, that they will die to protect. And it's like a really bad secret. So it might be something like the Emperor isn't going to get back up or something like that. But they won't tell anyone their dark secret. And they sacred rites and being Battle Sisters, but more Battle Sistery than anyone else. Valorous Heart is all about martyrdom and pain and suffering and, I'm a little bit ill today, but I'll go to work. I've hurt my hand. Such is life. Such is a prayer to the Emperor. Suffering is sacrifice. Things like that. Canadian. Sorry, sir, but it's our duty, sir. Sorry again. Very good. Very good. What's the last one? Yes, the silver-coloured Battle Sisters. What are they called? Can't remember offhand. It'll come to me. It'll definitely come to me. Argent Shroud, that's the one. Thank you very much. Argent Shroud are all about, shut up, we're going to do this ourselves, get out of the way, we're moving up now, we're going to get straight up there. We're going to get out, we're going to fire. They really like getting close and personal. They use a lot of tanks, so Rhinos and Immolators move the Retributor squads up, move the Dominion squads up, get out and fight, and they're like, it doesn't matter. We're just going in, we don't need any of this artillery support or anything like that. We're just going for it. A lot of people have been playing Bloody Rose. On my, I think it was the most recent Battle Sister video where I talked about it from the points changes. Bloody Rose was carrying us in 9th edition. Because it was all of the, you get armor penetration. You need armor penetration in 9th edition. And that was basically the only way to get it. And we got it on all of our combat stuff. Even a regular Battle Sister squad was able to punch better than the average Space Marine. Except the Space Marine got 3 attacks, or 2 attacks, as it was then. Yeah. Valorous Heart. So the way to take, like, Hospitalers is to, if you want to do Valorous Heart style at the moment, put a Hospitaler in every single unit. That'll give you a Feel No Pain. That matches the style that the Valorous Heart was. Yeah, and the Switch to Detachment lets you play an army without penalising you for colour scheme. Go with Martyrdom. Yeah, spray them black. The good thing about the Battle Sisters are, they, other than like Bloody Rose and Argent Shroud, you can spray them black or white, and it'll give you most of the army colour scheme. Actions, not words, are indeed the Argent Shroud faction. Yes. You've always struggled to run the Seraphim or Zephyrim or Seraphim. I should just call them Seraphim. Stick to the Christianity stuff if you're going to do Seraphim, and also be a very obviously Catholic faction. They always get wiped out when charged or shot. Can Celestine bring them back? Oh, Celestine can bring back any model in her unit. So as soon as she is in a Zephyrim or Seraphim squad, it's any model. Doesn't have to be just her 2 attendants. Any model, so it's totally fine. Only one of the orders gives bonus miracle dice. It was in 9th edition, the Sacred Rose was the one that was like, we get miracles from doing miracles. I like to play them. So it was, I spend a miracle dice, and on a 4+ I get another miracle dice, which was great. Yeah. I keep hearing from some other VTuber that you can cheese line of sight with tiny mirrors on models. How do I best do that? Goodness! I don't know. I suppose you could put like a mirror on a model's shoulder or on an arm like a shield, and then somehow, if you could have, much like the way wave serpents work, yeah, then you could have a model that's in line of sight, some other model is looking at them, and the mirrors are slightly at a 45-degree angle, so you can see through and see to the enemy. That is technically doing line of sight rules as written, and I'm just waiting for someone at a tournament to follow Dr. Crankenfoof's advice, and then have them kicked out. Imagine Celestine attached to warsuits. Yeah, that'd be kind of nasty. I'm going to do a video soon, hopefully tomorrow. It'll be done about characters and unit abilities that should explain things like that more, because I've classified them then generally into 4 different things and how that works. Line of sight does indeed go both ways. So, yeah, you're not allowed to move a model after you finish moving that squad, so you couldn't pivot them afterwards, unless you do something like Phantasm or the tactical doctrine thing that the Space Marines have as a stratagem that lets you move D6, then you could like move them and pivot the mirrors away, stop the enemy from using them. Yes, the mirror trick does not work against Blood Angels. Haha, very clever. Even better if Celestine is part of the squad. You can put damage on the Geminis, the characters. They do have better saves. Yes. Yes, they are just a bodyguard model. So, much like Necron players have been doing with the Cryptex and their murder bucket thingamies, you put the damage on them and then they're safe. Whereas you keep your Lich Guard or your Necron Warriors alive for longer. So, you know, Necron Warriors have guns. They're going to be firing their guns. The murder bucket creatures do not. So you can just drop all the wounds on them, just as you can drop the damage on Gemini, because they do indeed have 2 wounds. So yes, she can resurrect any Zephyrim, she can resurrect any Seraphim, she can resurrect any Gemini. Any of them that you want. Oh, there's a cool thing we should try. I found out there's a trick when you're doing live streams. So if you're on a desktop right now, if you open this stream in a separate window, not in a separate tab, it has to be in a separate window, then YouTube will count it as being a new viewer, and the little viewer count will go up, which is kind of a funny thing, which means they get advertised to more and more people, like, hey, there's a live stream on right now, do you want to come and watch the live stream? There's 1 million people currently watching. So if you are on desktop and you're able to open in a new window, you can do that. Just the same tab, open in a new window, and it counts as a separate person. That's kind of funny. I feel that's kind of funny. Orders received and understood. Oh, you have a top hat. Very nice. And very lovelily, I did just see the number of people watching now open. And go up by 1. Oh, it's fun. It's fun. It's a funny, silly thing. YouTube is weird like that. Oh yeah, you'll have to then mute the second one. It is a spiffing bit exploit, yes. But you know, as we're all, or at least he and I, are tea drinkers from Britain who love to exploit things, including, you know, many of the game things as it is in 40k, are like, this is an interesting rule to exploit. I'll mention it. It's not rules as intended, but as rules as written, it works quite nicely. Yes, very good. Oh dear. It does have some fun things. What were some of his other things he said? Oh, if you then like the stream on each of the different windows, it counts as a separate like, which is another very strange thing. Oh dear. So you can make the number of likes go up. I think that's about as far as you can take it. Yeah, then you can have, oh look, you now have 80 people watching, whereas previously you had 30. And suddenly there's 1 million likes. Oh, it's a lot of fun. Silly things like that. Where was I with the questions? Yes. As a Chaos Orc player, I'm glad my 2 armies were not very affected by the changes to the rules. Yes, if you open 3 windows, then the viewer count does indeed go up. See, immediately, it's gone up by another one. It's insane how that works. I'm gonna have to recommend doing that every single time, because we're going up by like 10 or 20 viewers now. It's even though they're not really viewers, they are indeed people watching. Just, yeah, that you're gonna get the echo, and then some of them might have latency, and it's gonna be weird like that. Oh dear. Anyway, as a Chaos Orc player, I'm glad that my 2 armies were not very affected. Not to sound like a meta chaser, but it's a relief not to learn new rules. Good! That is indeed a benefit. There are great ways to think of it, whatever's happened to your faction. Because it did get very bad for 9th edition at the end of that for Marines, when all of the rules were like the way they were, where there's a million different rules for your Marines, and you have to remember your combat doctrines, your changes to them. Then you got your sub-faction, and also your sub-faction modified the combat doctrines. Also you got enhancements, which were separate with your different sub-faction. Didn't change the doctrines, and they also had a sub-faction rule on top of that, and then there was all the Space Marine standard rules like They Shall Know No Fear and Combat Squads and Deep Strike, and then on top of that there was Bolter Discipline, which they've fixed now because they've just said Bolters fire 2 shots. We don't need to set every single circumstance in which it's rapid fire and you will fire 1 shot, except you will always fire 2 shots unless you moved and you're no longer within 12 inches of an enemy. That's just... so weird. Yeah, so you don't have to learn new rules if you're an Orc or Chaos player, which is very nice. Battle Sisters also don't have to learn new rules. Genestealer Cult, we have the same rule but modified, which is okay. You just need to get your rules, if you printed them out or something, get a pen and just change the number. Very easy to do. That's something I will need to remember to do, because I just print out my rules, because it's easier to have it on a sheet rather than trying to look at a very tiny phone and be like, hang on, I think somewhere there's a rule here. Then you know, if you need to show your opponent something like, this is how a rule works, you hand them the page. And that also means you can do it at things like tournaments. I have brought my rules with me. Here is my rules if you need to see anything, rather than just being like, yeah, trust, bro. Trust, that's exactly how it works. Yeah, so if your points went up, that's great. It means you've got more models you can play with in your army. If your points went down, that's great. You don't need to buy as many models, and you don't have to transport as many models. So those are indeed positives. Who is this Dr. Krankenfoof I keep hearing about? He's not really. He's in a few of the videos that I've had. Which ones recently? He was in the 6 types of players that you meet at the local club. The one with Jim Bob the Gangleman. So that's the video you'll have to watch, that is like the introduction of Dr. Krankenfoof. And I also had him in, I think, the Genestealer Cult video, the one I did on Thursday for the news, that had a reference to Dr. Krankenfoof. It's nice that everyone keeps bringing him up. I'm going to have to keep the character going just for that. Are PNG tubers also VTubers? Yes, very much so. It's a much easier system to follow, and it only has 2 states to change between, rather than having like, as I as I slowly rotate my head. If this was a 2D model, then it would have to track a lot of different states just on that. As I have a 3D model, it's much easier. But yes, PNG tubers are indeed VTubers. And we had Paul is bad at stuff. He's a PNG tuber who is a very nice, polite man who was in chat earlier. He has his own channel, which is not bad, as someone who's like, he's starting out in the game. So he's a nice person and is indeed a PNG VTuber, so PNG tubers are indeed VTubers, yes. Having a ring-bound binder with printed sheets is good, yeah. You can always take the sheet out and hand it to your opponent. I also find that if you have a lot of sheets, you can have like, oh, that unit is destroyed. I'll just put that page to the side. And, you know, I don't need that page anymore. My scout squad is defeated. I'll just get rid of that page. There's fewer sheets to go through. So you're not flipping through as big a codex anymore. Oh, Paul is bad at stuff got validated. You did indeed. PNG tubers are VTubers. No one needs to fight me on this. Yes. What else have we got? Just wait until a Nephrek themed detachment comes out. Royal Wardens and Chronomancers? Probably. Was Niltech was the very defensive one that lots of people liked. Yeah, that was a defensive one. They were like, oh yeah, you get no armor penetration against us. Oh, we always have cover in our deployment zone. Very, very, very powerful. Yes. We'll see when their detachments come up. The Necrons are getting their codex in November, I think is when it's meant to be. That's when it was rumored to be. So probably about then. So before Christmas, there will be a lot more Necron detachments coming out. How do you think they will use the Cysts in Pariah Nexus with the story? Oh, that's a thing that's been going for a while. So May 2020, they had the 9th edition trailer for 9th edition stuff, which has like Battle Sisters fight alongside Space Marines against Necrons. And then the starter box set, there's no Battle Sisters. It's only Space Marines. Very annoying. Very annoying. Oh dear. Yeah, so they're expanding on that story. There's going to be a Necron sniper. There's going to be stuff. There's people like, oh, I'm losing faith and all of this, that, and the other. So the Battle Sisters, I don't know if they'll win. They should win. That would be nice. Otherwise, they're just going to be like, yeah, no, Necrons exist. They win. Pariah Nexus exists, but it's expanded as far as it can. And then the Tyranids come, and probably there's going to be, I don't know, a little bit of fluff in the Necron Codex. Probably not the Tyranid Codex to say, oh yeah, the Necron's big enemy right now is the Tyranids. The whole thing with the Silent King, which is Necron lore. I don't know if I've done a Necron lore thing before. I might have talked to people about Necron lore. Did we just have a blip when I lost me? No, we're still here. That's good. The Silent King was like, I'm just going to wander on this planet just outside the edge of the galaxy proper and just be me alone. And then he saw that the Tyranids were coming and he's like, okay, I'm going to go back into the galaxy and start waking up some Necrons, even though it's a bit early. So he's getting forces ready. And thankfully for him, some Necrons were already awake. So he's able to gather them and be like, okay, guys, we're going to go fight the TIE fleets. And I think the idea was he's going to go like straight out of the galaxy, which he can using like Dolmen Gates and their fast than light. Not necessarily fast than light. No, they use Dolmen Gates, which is like a weird webway system to go off and fight against the Tyranids proper. Like whatever is sending the Hive Fleet. That seemed to be where it was going as a whole theme. So Tyranids against Necrons. Really cool idea. I like that. I like that. I'm wondering if you can play VR chat tabletop sim. I don't know if you could... Oh, maybe. That's an idea. I mean, it would be very difficult and you'd probably accidentally sweep loads of models away. But maybe something like Kill Team you could play. That would work. Yeah. So Dr. Krankenfoof isn't real. Generally wasn't sure. It seems that no matter how many times I say he's not real, he can't hurt you, people will be like, interesting, he's real then. Yeah, he is my rival in everything. Whenever I say something, he disagrees with me. Whenever I say rules as intended, he does rules as written. Whenever I say Castigate is not great, Exorcists are amazing, he'll say, no, Castigators are the best thing ever, Exorcists are great for like anti-infantry. Like, no. What? No. Do I think battle suits with melee weapons will ever happen? Well, we have the one commander, who is probably really old by now and should just die and just have a new inherited character for him. Just let Farsight die. Have Farsight's son take up the mantle. Have one of the 8, the surviving 8, take up the mantle of being Farsight. Do like they did with Creed. They could have done that with the new model, but now there's a new model, so yeah. The flayed ones will use the sister's blood to protect from chaos. Okay, that's a Grey Knights reference. Yeah. That could happen. That could happen. The, what's it called? Battlefleet Gothic. That game, at the end of the Battlefleet Gothic game, then if you play the Necrons and you do well, you just close the Eye of Terror using the Cadian Gate. It's really fun. It's really fun. I know there's VR support for tabletop sim, but... Oh, right. Talking actual 40k in VR chat. I mean, you could. I guess you could just have what actual tables there, and then one of you is moving the models for someone else. Yeah. Oh, yes, I'm also very glad that the Grey Knights killing and wearing the Battle Sisters did indeed get retconned. That's important. So yeah, 600 million year sabbatical. That's how you get ants. Do you want ants? Because that's how you get ants. Not cleaning your room for that long is indeed how you get ants. Oh my. That chink had to be, yes. When I went to definitely get a cup of tea and water when I had that advert played, it was to boil the kettle. That was indeed a cup of tea. You have very good hearing or tea perception. Yes. Oh, Farsight can't die because he has the really evil, definitely not Khorne, Crone Blade. that pulls the life and expands it into his own life force. That's cool. That's cool. The Eldar Ethereals, no, the Tower Ethereals really need to get on just crushing that upstart nation. I wish they would just get on and do the Civil War. I don't know why they don't. They could have, like the Phoenix, that box set that came out, where it was Eldar versus Dark Eldar, but if you played Ynnari, you can just buy the whole thing, and you have a nice Ynnari army. They should do a Tau Civil War, here's a Farsight unit, which is only possible to take in a Farsight detachment, and then have a bunch of Tau. I just can't say the word Tau today. Have a bunch of Tau out there as well. Have them fight in a box set. There you go. There's the army. It's fighting each other. And also you can just get an entire Tau army, Farsight army, in a box if you want to do that, which is cool. Also not Khorne, but he does coincidentally have 8 buddies. Yep, he has 8 friends. They shout for the blood for the Farsight enclaves, equality for the equality throne. That's how they roll. They should just do a similar box set with Battle Sisters and Necrons feature the Pariah Nexus. What they've done instead is they had the... what was it called? There was a magazine. There was a magazine that came out. I can't remember the name of the magazine now. But they had... you could get some Tau to get some Necrons one week. I've got saying Tau all the time now. You get some Necrons one week, then get some Battle Sisters the next week, then get some Space Marines the week after, then get some Mechanicus the week after that. That's it, the Imperium magazine, that's how it worked, again and again. The weird thing they did with the Battle Sisters, though, is they would give you 4 random models, almost. You get 2 Battle Sisters, a Repentia, and an Archoflagellant one week. So not a squad. Then 3 weeks later, you will get 2 different Battle Sisters, 2 Seraphim, and 1 more Repentia. It was the strangest thing. So they were just like really annoying. So if you ever missed an issue or an edition of the magazine, you now do not have completed Battle Sister squads. It was just awful. When they started out, I know a lot of people were getting the Necron, the lieutenant looking guy, the guy that's like an immortal warden. That's it, the Necron warden. So he's quite good. And also the lieutenant blade guard guy, the lieutenant with a big shield. So people are just buying 3 of that, and now, oh look, I have a squad of blade guard. Blade guard, which are not great at the moment. But Dr. Krankenfoof says that blade guard are amazing. He's just wrong though, definitely wrong. Oh, it's good that you're subscribed to those magazines. Also, when they had the Assault Intercessors come out, it was like, here's a squad of 5 just in the magazine. Magazine cost £6. A lot of people were then getting Assault Intercessors. They were good for that. Everyone should have a Civil War? Yeah. Pro-Silent King, anti-Silent King, pro-Gilliman, anti-Gilliman. The Dark Eldar are in a Civil War, which is between Vect and Lady who likes poison stuff. Poison Tongue, Cabal. Yes. Them. They're in a Civil War. Tau should be in a Civil War. The Imperium is technically still in a Civil War. It's like the Chaos will rise again, Horus and the Black Legion will rise again. It's so weird that the Black Legion went through so many different names in in such a short amount of time. They were like the whatever number Legion, the Lunar Wolves, then the Sons of Horus, then the Black Legion pretty quickly. So they can't just keep up with their own naming systems. Chaos is also in a state of constant civil war. They never stop being in civil war. Not just the demons, but also like the Chaos Marines. They're always fighting just over resources. So as soon as a Renegade chapter, like the one with Fabius Bile, they had a load of little snippet things that were like building up to the War of the Spider. I think that was the name of the book. And thing, detachment-y box that came with him. I think he was the only new model though. They were saying like, oh yeah, there's this Renegade chapter who like was in a civil war, and then they got some Primaris Marines, and the Primaris Marines were like, I don't know whether to like side with the Renegades or not. And on the fleet, the Imperials were just like, we cannot risk it. Purge the Primaris Marines. Their chapter is traitor. Their gene seed is traitor. We cannot just risk this. Get rid of them. So the firstborn that were in that civil war went off with fabulous bill, and found that when they got the Eye of Terror, everyone was like, hey, new guy, hey, give me your shoes. I want your shoes. And there's a bunch of Space Wolves in there as well that like, oh, I'm going to take your backpack. And now it's my backpack. Because their 13th Great Company is still fighting in and around the Eye of Terror. They came back and it was like, oh, that's a bit of a fix, but not really. Everyone is or should be in a civil war. Yeah. The reason with the Genestealer Cult not being with the Tau, I mean, Tau Brood Brothers could be cool. They have it as part of their lore, annoyingly. Oh yes, the Orcs are just generally in a civil war. That's just their state of being. They fight and kill each other. What was I saying? Oh yeah, the Tau and the Genestealer Cult. The Genestealer Cult, they did experiments where the Tau were like, we're going to deliberately infect some of our people with Genestealer Cult DNA and see how that goes and see if they still believe in the greater good. And they're like, oh yeah, we got some hybrids. And they're like, oh, trust bro. Yeah. Greater good. Four-armed, greater good. And now they have more hands to lift stuff up, but the cult didn't really get anywhere before they realized, oh, this is bad. They talked to like some humans that they had. They talked to... OBS is disconnected. Hang on. Reconnecting. Okay, it's reconnected. Good. Slight pause, but there we go. We're back. Yes. The tournaments have been in Eldar Civil War. Oh, absolutely. I was saying that with a 67% win rate, the only time an Eldar player ever loses a tournament is when they're playing another Eldar player, and that's how you get the 1 loss out of 3 for the Eldar, and half of them are playing Eldar, so that's how that all makes sense. Otherwise, the Tau in the... what's it called? In the lore, if you look at my Genestealer Cult lore video, which is still there, it's about, I don't know, 20 minutes long. It does a lot of Genestealer Cult lore. Then they have... It said that like the Tau had a Genestealer Cult screening process, so they could... music scuffed. I knew there was some bit of disconnect. There we go. Music will have to be off for a bit until it unscuffs itself. Thank you for telling me. Yeah, they have a screening process to get rid of Genestealer Cult DNA, and in theory could even do this to like a living person. So someone that had been infected, like hypnotized or brood brothered, so that their next child would become a Genestealer. That can be stopped. Yes. It's an Orc stream. Yeah, the Orcs just love the constant fighting. Yeah. Oh yeah, with the thing. The Custodians just demanded the Primaris to disarm for no real reason. The Primaris were like, no, and the Custodians started killing them. It was indeed kind of dumb. I might have added some lore there that wasn't actually there just for it to make sense. Yeah, that was kind of stupid. I do intend to do a video about Primaris and Tactical Marines and stuff and how that all works in the near future. The one I did about, hey, these new models are actually new Firstborn models. We have new Firstborn Scout models. We have new Firstborn Terminator models. There's no new pure Firstborn units, as these units can be either Primaris or Firstborn, but, you know, it exists. There's, one Black Templar's Crusade purging Primaris would be good. Ooh. I don't know, they tend to use them now. I mean, then again, the way that the Primaris Crusader squads are costed way more than the Firstborn Primaris Crusader squads. Just Firstborn Crusader squads. The Firstborn Crusader squads are way better. Points optimized and everything else. Yeah. So we'll see if that carries on. Craft World tournaments are just throwing Wraith Lords and Fire Prisms at one another. They were. It'll be Falcon. Oh, Falcons. Falcons are good. I've seen a lot of Falcon play recently. Just having something like Fire Dragons pop out of a Falcon, re-rolling all of your Melter wounds, really powerful. And then you get re-rolls to hit of one of them anyway because of the Eldar sub-faction. Yeah, really nice. MSU build for Eldar could go quite strongly. Lots of Wraithguard, Falcons. You can't put Wraithguard in a Falcon, there just isn't enough transport space, which is fair enough. But Fire Prisms, I think they'll still be going. Still Fire Prisms. Wraith Lords I think will still be going, just not Wraith Knights. But I think the Eldar will still be incredibly powerful at tournaments and stuff. Yeah. The whole infighting for every faction is a little bit dumb. It is a little bit dumb. But only a little. Only a little. A crusade had a chaplain and others mutiny against their marshal for accepting Primaris. Ooh. Scary stuff. The Fire Dragons, yeah. Fire Dragons coming out of a Falcon compared to Retributors coming out of an Immolator. The points are very different. Even though the Battle Sisters get one extra shot with the multi-melters, the Fire Dragon stuff has, I think, longer range or same range. No, 12 inches, 18 inches. I'm not sure. I'll have to double check. But it's also then Melter 3 rather than Melter 2. So when it gets through, it does more damage. Yeah, it's nasty. Why do you have some red around your eyes? Oh, that's like a pretty standard vampire thing. It's not like an infection or something. If you've seen the anime Undead Murder Farce, which is going on at the moment, where there's an immortal who is just a severed head in a box. She's trying to get her body back, and it's weirdly set in the Sherlock Holmes universe. Then from episode 2 onwards, there's some vampires, and they also have this red line around their eyes to show, like, yeah, they're vampires. So it's a pretty standard, like, anime thing to show vampires have the red line around their face. It's quite nice. Good tea, good tea. What are people drinking right now? Do you all just have water next to you? You're not drinking your paint water by accident, I hope. If you are painting, then that sucks, but you don't need to throw out tea. Always tea. Blicky Bicky, always with the tea. Diet Cola, Amazon green drink, yeah. I'll have to get some kind of tea partnership. I'll see if Yorkshire Tea can partner with me before they partner with the Spiffing Brit. That would be amazing. Just be like, this sponsored stream of talking about Eldar in tournaments is actually sponsored by Yorkshire Tea. Got milk, we've got water. Some people have tea. Good, good. As long as there's no coffee, that's all right. Paint water to stay hydrated during those long painting sessions. Yeah. Ceylon tea. Oh, Ceylon tea is nice. I got into Genestealer Cult because of a certain YouTuber. How should I paint them? Now, I'm assuming that's a reference to me being that certain YouTuber. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so painting Genestealer Cult. They are like workers from any different area, planet. So high visibility jackets are good. Jumpsuits can be good. So strangely, even though they're in a combat situation, bright orange can look really nice. Think of like any NPC in an action game. That's how you want to have it. You could have different colored jumpsuits to match like different colored jobs in civilian life. So you could have, here's a bunch of scientists in white. Here's a bunch of engineers and they're in dark blue. Here's a bunch of people who do something else and they're in yellow. So you could have like color-coded units, which could be quite cool. Think of something like Divergent, that teenage young adult series where everyone who had a different job was in a different color. That's kind of cool. Or you could do like a blend, have it so that they blend in with the terrain of where they do their job and their work. So that can be quite nice. So if they're ice cutting, choose light blue. If they're builders, like you're going to want to do an Imperial Fist or Iron Warriors version of Genestealer Cult, you could do a dark grey or something. Or you'd just be like, yeah, I mean, no revolution till this brick wall's up. When's brick wall up? It's going to be a while. I'm just take a drag of my cigarette. Oh, it's going to be a difficult job, that. Oh, revolution. Oh, I don't know about this Ascension Day. Oh, it's going to take a while. I'll have to check with the union. Might be a bit of a price increase there. But yeah, we'll get your Ascension Day done. Not a problem, not a problem. Yeah, no problem, no problem. So you could do builders of Genestealer Cult like that. If you're going to have like a foresters, you could do a foresty one. Think of like the Canadian wilderness. The tree bit, not the ice bit. Then don't do drills, because it doesn't matter what kind of weapon you have. They all have the same profile in the Genestealer Cult now. So have the saws. That could work. Or the cutters. Demo charges. Those are the new anti-plant grenades. You need them, like, for 2nd edition, there was anti-plant grenades. Well, anti-plant grenades are back and they're strength 12. How about that? Yeah, Genestealer Cult, Revenge of the NPCs. Name them after every NPC in Skyrim. Absolutely. Paint their name on the basis. Yeah. Got bubble tea. No one's drinking coffee. Good. Reused iced tea. Very nice. Very nice. Cult of the red tape. Yeah. Loads of civil servants that just rise up and like, haha, this inefficiency suddenly is deliberate. There was a really cool audio story. It's called The Watcher in the Rain, which is all about a heretic who is... She's reneged against the Imperium, and she's just a civil servant in the Administratum, and she kills far more people than any other traitor, because she's like, oh, I'm going to not send these people their food supply. There we go. There's an entire regiment that's now not going to do an advance they should have, so the enemy gets closer and, like, wins stuff. So, yeah, it's absolutely an idea. Very clever. She, yes, the ending of that is an interesting one. It has a lot of poetic justice to it. Yes. So, you have your forestry Genestealer Cult. They're using their anti-plant grenades. You're going to need them for those. Do you remember 6th edition? Anyone playing in 6th edition? If you were playing in 6th edition, all of the terrain got a random thing. So, there was trees, a lot of trees, and those trees, you had to roll to see what the trees were. Some of them just had, like, razor nest of stuff. Some of them had, like, apes in it. Some of them were called ironbark trees, which gave you, like, a 3+ cover save, just straight up. The way cover saves worked back then was that is your now armor save. Unmodifiable armor save. It's not an invulnerable save, but there you go. You just have that as a 3+ save. So if they need to be Genestealer Cult that are cutting down ironbark trees, use those massive strength 12 anti-plant grenade stuff. Yeah, do a Hilda's Eyes theme. That could be cool. 40k drop bears. Civil servants with briefcase demo charges. Yeah, then you got like an assassin thing. Have a Locust. Locust is the perfect example of that. Someone that just walks along with like hood, briefcase, boom. That's great. Think of also with Genestealer Cult high fleet colours. You could go for something that complements them or contrasts to them. So this Forester idea, they'll be in green. And so if they were part of high fleet Gorgon, then they'll have brown to complement them for all of their like chitinous bits. That could be really good. Or you want to do contrast. So ice cutters, they're ice blue. That'll contrast nicely with the red that you got for High Fleet Kraken. And in either case, you'll be able to get like a nice gradient from which of the two colours is dominant through the generations. So Gorgon Forest, very strongly brown on the regular Genestealers, all the way through to green, maybe then going to a lighter green for the 4th generation. You can do a lot of fun stuff with all of the different generations for the Genestealer Cult, including like painting them all different colours. That'd be nice. That could work really well, I think. Men in Black, just, yeah, being the ones that just turn up and do suspicious stuff. Well, not suspicious stuff. They're like, what's going on here? But we are the Men in Black and we have demo charges. Absolutely. Absolutely indeed. It says there's an advert running. I'll just give it a second for the advert. Okay, it won't be long. It's going to be like a 5-second thing. I know not everyone's got the advert. But there you go. Where are we at? Okay, good. It looks to be gone. So, everything is looking good. That's all looking good there. Wonderful. Next question. When will Index Errors 4 be out? Okay, so Index Errors 3 kind of killed me and finished off the whole series as best I could. Then I had the High Fleet Matroska, which is putting Tyrannocytes inside Tyrannocytes, because technically you can put Tyrannocytes inside Tyrannocytes. So it's like the Russian dolls, one inside one another forever, as much as you have points for it. And then you also need like a hero, so put a squad of, well, just a Broodlord. That's very thematic. Broodlord lands on a planet. There you go. That's how you start your Genestealer Cult infestation. But I have, I think, no more index errors that I've been able to find. I haven't wanted to go through all of the legend stuff. I have done some of them. I have done some of the Forge World stuff, but there's not enough errors left. What I could do, whether on stream or not, is going for like a review of here's all the things that they didn't fix that are still a problem. I could do it like that. So that's a thought. But otherwise, index errors, it's kind of done. Yeah. Should I wait for the codex to come out or before starting or not? You can just start at any time. I would definitely start now. You've got index rules which come with one detachment. They're fine. There's nothing really wrong with just using them. So I would say start playing right away. You have rules already. They're decent rules which everyone is having at the moment. I know we're only on like month 2 or 3 of having rules. Yeah. For everyone, and they're all about the same at an index level. I know we're not perfect. We've seen the rules. We've seen the different levels for Eldar compared to Battle Sisters. But I don't think there's any reason to wait. And anyway, if the codex is rubbish, then you've waited for not a long time. And if you just start now, you'll have some models painted and ready for when the codex turns up. Yeah, so what was I going to say? Oh yeah, what if the codex is rubbish? This is the thing with codexes as well. If the codex is good and it's like amazing and everyone's loving the codex, it's super powerful, then people are like, oh, I'm glad I got my codex. This is definitely what I wanted from a book I had to buy to play it legally. Yar, har, fiddle-dee-dee. Then, yeah, you want it to be good. If your codex is just nice, perfectly balanced, very average, like the Orcs Codex was when it came out in 9th edition, then it's like, oh, what was this for? What was I waiting for this long? This is just, it's not amazing. What's happened? At least this time, we now get different sub-factions, which is something they're deliberately withholding from us, I guess, before it comes out with the new stuff. And then they'll have to figure out a whole new thing in MetaWatch. How do they balance the different sub-factions? Is it going to be, oh, everyone is taking Bloody Rose, which means that the sisters are weak, but they're strong with Bloody Rose? Or is it going to be the sisters are really strong and also even stronger with Bloody Rose? They would then have to figure out whether they nerf Bloody Rose or bring everything else up, which is going to be a lot of erratas and editing. So they'll probably just go, one of them's strong, one of them's not. So for the Tyranids, I think the current one, the Invasion Fleet, is really good. It's adaptable. So much like the Death Watch, whatever enemy you're facing, there is something there to help you fight them. So if you have Necron's Battle Sisters Imperial Guard, you can have precision on all of your weapons. If you roll a 6 to hit, it hits the character. If you have something that's like, oh, there's a lot of tanks, you're facing Mechanized Guard, and they have a lot more tanks suddenly with the Lehman Russ price dropping, then you can get lethal hits on all of your weapons. Shooting, range stuff, psychic stuff, combat stuff, it's all better. So that's still fine. I don't think many people are going for the Crusher Stampede because, again, like you've been saying, chat, it's the, oh, you get +1 to hit if you go below starting wounds. Yeah, but you might just die instead, and then it's pointless. Yeah, not great. So that one's maybe less played, but I think people who like Behemoth and I think people who like the theme of all the monsters will really enjoy it. So there'll be a lot of good fun stuff. I have been seeing, even though it's pretty rubbish, I've been seeing people playing Blood Angels Detachment. I mean, theirs isn't too bad. +1 strength, I think. Not to be sniffed at when you charge. The Space Wolf one is not great. I've seen people play it and just hate it, but keep playing it because they're like, this is the Space Wolf one. This is how Space Wolves should be played. I'm not just going to switch to Gladius Detachment. Yeah, but I think they've got nice units. It's just then you're not getting your really full army stuff unless you go character heavy, which is what you have to do as the Space Wolves now. Thoughts on the issues of factions missing anti-tank? Should the guns be updated or new units introduced? I would say update the guns is probably better than throwing in new units, because then you've got to have those new units. They've got to be available to buy, and a lot of things are just getting sold out at Games Workshop right now. Even if you use my affiliate link for Firestorm Games, then they may also get sold out from there as well. And they're not able to order more stuff because Games Workshop themselves hasn't got the warehouse space, and so that whole unit just can't be bought. So better to have the rules changed slightly. I wouldn't want it to be like in, I think, 8th edition, where as soon as you bring a melter gun, the enemy tanks just disappear. I was okay with that as a Battle Sister infantry player, but it meant that I wasn't taking the Exorcist, because any anti-tank is going to wipe it out. So it's a balance, but yeah, I would rather bring up anti-tank rules like Melter, which should cover them. I don't know what the Grey Knights could get. Maybe just have some of their random weapons, some of their weird psychic stuff, be anti-tank. Have a psychic power that's on a lot of stuff. Do that. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of good ideas online from all the people who comment on my videos. Have anti-tank 4+, or have the Melter rule also give you additional strength at short range. That would be great. You're working on homebrew units to fill the gaps. Yeah, there's multiple ways to work around each flaw. Good. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways of doing it. I think Grey Knights will be the one that struggle a little bit more. Other than the baby carrier, large Dread Knight, they haven't got a lot to do anti-tank stuff, which is unfortunate. Otherwise, they're just hopping around the battlefield, but not getting the number of units that Genestealer Cult have to effectively do MSU board control stuff. What I hoped would do is different data slates balance for sub-factions. Maybe, yeah. I mean, if Repentia were too good for Bloody Rose, oh, increase their points for that sub-faction. They're definitely not going to do it that way, though. They're definitely not going to do it that way. No. Because then they would have so many different levels and it'd be like, you pick a thing and then you pick this, like, oh, it should be that you have your army, you pick whatever detachment you want, that's going to be how they want to do it, that's how it's going to be easiest, and then it's just, which detachment do I feel like running today? Rather than it being, oh, I need to run this one, otherwise my points entirely change for all of my army and I need to make a whole new army list. Yeah, it's a thought, but it's not going to work like that. They'd just put the points up of Repentia and be like, yeah, so they're still worth taking in Bloody Rose and not worth taking for anyone else. That's probably how it'll end up. What do you think is going to be the next new thing, Tank Walker Spec Ops for Genestealer Cult and Sisters? So, if they did have a really big tank for Sisters, that's probably the way they're going to go. I would love to see my sniper idea of 3 snipers so we can have some precision stuff for the Battle Sisters. I think that's a unit I would buy, or proxy, or make myself. So, something like the Eldar, no, the Mechanicus, their rail rifle thing that they have in all the Skitarii Ranger squads. Just 3 of them, but with a sister praying. Maybe you could have like the Pervase is on one of the shoulders of the sister, so it's not quite looking like the Skaven version are. That would be quite nice. Yeah, that could work. So probably a big tank thing for them. Genestealer Cult, I have no idea what they're going to do. They seem to just be throwing more and more characters at stuff. They could do bigger aberrants, so like a monster aberrant. I think that's probably where they'll go with that. Maybe in a squad of 3, maybe in a squad of 1, something like that. Yeah. Strange they had different point costs for the Khorne version of Lord of Skulls. Yeah, that's something. But they have at least been doing that. Odd. So they could, I mean, do it when there's actual clear different unit detachment things. So it could be, here's Space Wolves. You can have Assault Intercessors and they're cheaper. But if you want Assault Intercessors with Black Templars, they're going to cost a little bit more. Something like that could work. Yeah, there's Art of the Cathedral on, yeah, on a giant tank, or like spindly walker legs. That's there in the background of the Battle Sister stuff. That could be quite good. Games Workshop has warehouse space. Yeah, sure, put that as a model. They have a massive one in Milton Keynes, though may have staff for the said ware. Okay. There was an idea that they were doing a lot of automated stuff. So it's not as much warehouse space, it's getting the right stuff in the warehouse that they can get out to the shops because they have limited space because it's retail space. And then it's how much stuff is pre-ordered, how much stuff is there to be available and bought online, how do they do it that way. And then they might have like robots and doing stuff. The robots have been the cause of quite a few little leaks. Things like the Dante model, towards the end of 9th edition when that came out, it was, you want the Commander Dante model, it's, you know, someone was trying to buy the old metal one, here's the new one. I don't think the same happened with the Lion, but it could have. It could have. You could do Genestealers with variant strains. They might. I can't really... I mean, they could. They could do like a metamorph version of the pure strain Genestealers, but we already have Genestealers that are meant to be pure strain. Just pure, unchanged. And then we also have the metamorphs for stuff. Battle Sisters Artillery could be nice, yeah. Giant Condemner Basilica Field Gun. Yeah, I like that. Just, they already got the pipe organ stuff going. So, yeah, maybe one big cannon that's just every shell has something inscribed on it, and you can see it's like a little diorama. There's a sister novice loading a shell, and there's another sister that's writing, you know, love from the Emperor on one of them or something like that. They could bring out some other characters. Sabathiel was the traitor one, wasn't she? Yeah. Oh dear. Pretty sure she was the traitor one. Do you have any recommended used minis for Battle Sister players? Ooh. There was... Oh, I think it's a 3D printing company though. They have some nice sister models, including some Repentia models that aren't super weird. They also have some more weird, like throne looking things. So it's a throne of judgment, but it's like a penitent engine, or it's like the Paragon Warsuits, but it looks more like the throne of judgment that you have that's the Inquisitor guy. Something like that. Please tell me that's fake, binary number person. That's not binary, just many numbers. Elon Musk has named his newest child Tau Technomechanicus. Is this real? I'm gonna find out. Let's just see what happens when I put that into Google. Hopefully nothing turns up. Oh my goodness, they have actually called their child Tau Technomechanicus. That was announced 9 hours ago. Right. Right. Well, that's the state of the world. Okay. I'm gonna just drink some tea for a second. So he's named his kid after the weakest 40k factions. Yes. So the only thing he's missing there is the child has to be a girl and join the Adepta Sororitas. Then you go, there's all of them. We'll see how Votan are. Votan may suddenly come up. I haven't played against Votan this edition. I've only played against them last edition with Imperial Fists and Deathwatch, and I was able to win both times. Oh, I played against them a little bit with Imperial Guard, but there was a lot of Berserkers, and the Berserkers were really weak. You could overwatch the Berserkers with like an assault squad. The detachment squad, the 6 model squad that's no longer around anymore. They were pretty good at Overwatch then, just Flamers, Melter Guns, Demolition Charges. Oh, you couldn't have them in 9th edition. Yeah, that would wipe out their Berserker squads. Yeah. He named his kid Mechanicus and wants to get to Mars. Yeah. Yeah. That's a shame. I mean, I don't know if he is a 40k player. He's just generally geeky. One of his daughters could join the sisters as an option. Yeah, that could work. That could definitely work. I mean, when we're thinking of like the battle sisters all having to be female, that assumes that they're all coming from planets that have the concept of male-female gender. Otherwise, it's like, it works. Let's just go with it. Like a lot of the racism in apartheid countries was like, okay, we specify black people and white people. Here's someone with brown skin. Where do we categorize them? Which one is it going to go for? Do we ask about their ancestry? It's fine. It's fine, says the apartheid state. Yeah, so weird stuff there. So that's, battle sisters. You could have very manly battle sisters. I'm sure you can probably have feminine space marines. I mean, it's all prepubescent stuff that's happening. So you're not really developing much in the way of your secondary characteristics. What's it called? I can't remember. Sexual dimorphism. That's the one. Where different species look different depending on if it's a male, female version. Yeah, humans have very little sexual dimorphism and even less with children, so it doesn't matter. Just go with, you can have whatever you want with your Space Marines. I mean, fan stuff exists. Yeah. Yeah. Is that one of the children of Elon Musk? One of the children of Elon Musk's plays 40k? I could see that. Yeah. Do you know more about what caused half the Games Workshop stuff to walk off? I think, is that what I would say, staff? To walk off the job back in 2021? Don't know. Don't know about that. I don't know if they just had temporary layoffs during the plague. I think the whole thing was like they didn't, but they had a lot. Oh, might have been the stores and the way the stores are run. Managers in stores have sales targets to meet. So if you're in like a really rural area where you're not going to get a lot of people coming in, then it's difficult to meet those things. So you're just going to have managers rotating all the time because no one can ever actually meet the sales necessary for that particular store. And so everyone just looks bad. It also means that because the way, I think it might be changed, and so now their sales stuff is compared to the previous year. So right now in, September and August, September, they've had the Leviathan box set released right now. So they're happy. They're going to definitely hit their sales quota for like the quarter or the month. So August, they're all set just from selling Leviathan stuff. Well, that's a problem for next year where the sales of that month are going to be compared to August 2023, and it's going to look suddenly very, very bad. So maybe it's something to do with that. I don't know why lots of Games Workshop staff suddenly disappeared. I don't know if that's fully true. I have no sources on that. Yeah, I want to feel bad for store managers owners, but when I want to buy used stuff, Oh, right. You want to buy used stuff rather than getting it for the full price. Yeah, absolutely. Firestorm Games. It's linked in the description. Pretty sure it's in the description. Is it in my description? There it is. Firestorm Games. It's in the description. So you can definitely click that link. I'll just put it in the side. So just so you know the way that affiliate links work, if you use that affiliate link and you buy stuff, then I get a tiny amount of money back. It doesn't cost you any extra to use that link. You get the same discount off stuff compared to Games Workshop products. It's just then I get tiny money. You need some quick advice if possible. You're facing Tyranids as the Sisters next week. Any recommended on Sisters units to fight Tyranids? Ooh, well, I have fought quite a few Tyranid armies recently. Battle Sisters are a very good staple. I recommend Hospitallers because they're probably going to go for invasion fleet stuff. So they're either going to be precision attacks or it's going to be anti-infantry stuff. So having a Hospitaller in your Battle Sister squads is good. Flamers, very nice. Having Battle Sisters shoot. If like Termagants kill one of your Battle Sisters, do rejoice the fallen, shoot back and wipe them out. Arco-Flagellants work really good for fighting hordes. And that includes like Genestealers and things, and Lictors, a lot of stuff like that. Anything monstrous, Exorcists are very powerful. If you have Battle Sister squads and Exorcists as your staple, Hospitallers there, then you'll be alright. Palatines are very good for doing mortal wounds to a lot of stuff. And I can't think of anything else specifically that's like super amazing. Do they do global shipping? They ship to a few countries. I know they ship to Europe. I don't know how much elsewhere. It said I had to log in from another country to find out what shipping costs, so I'm not sure. I don't think they do Australia. That's one I don't think they do, unfortunately. There's a 40k 40-minute video with Punk Rock Sisters and Tyranids. That is 8th edition or 9th edition. I remember that one because it was one of the few that I actually watched. Yeah, so that's a rough idea for Battle Sister stuff. Not a problem. Always happy to help. Yeah, it was a nice army they had on that channel. But we don't mention other channels generally. Oh, right, what questions have I got left? Okay, I just have one question left apparently. So, is it easy to be a VTuber? No, not particularly. It takes quite a bit of money, or it takes a lot of time. So you've either got to pay someone to make the model and then rig the model and potentially also do art for your model so that there's like a concept art for the person designing the model. Alternatively, you have to get good at Blender, and I dislike Blender, and it took me like 2 weeks to make a model, and then making the new model, which is the current model that you're looking at, compared to the one that's with a more purple shirt. You'll have seen it, it's got a colour that's closer into the neck. That's when you've got to then, it took so much time to make. So you've got to, it takes time and effort and investment. What you should do is, if you want to be a VTuber, try just streaming as a voice. And then, if you enjoy that, decide if you want to be a VTuber model and add more stuff to it. Have just a picture, a single picture of concept art. That can work. Do a PNG tuber, so that's just a model that switches between 2 states depending on if you're talking or not. Then, I was like, streaming's difficult enough already. Then you've got to get all the stuff working for like all of the stuff for like tech and things, which is not working today perfectly apparently, as the music keeps going on and off, the music keeps flickering. The alert for when someone gave me some money, thank you again for that money. I do really appreciate when someone gives me money. I am always looking for buying food and or related things. Then, yeah, that's a whole nother thing to add on to it. So, if you're like, streaming is difficult, then you want to make it even harder? Yeah, you want to make it even harder, more difficult to run, add more tech onto your already struggling old computer, then, yeah, become a VTuber. See, Paul says just become a bold stick figure. That works. That's definitely a step up. And then you have to also be confident as a streamer, VTuber person. If you sit still and you talk quietly, like I've seen some other streamers do, where they sat there in like the corner and they're kind of like that, And it's just the end of the day for them, and they're like, yeah, I'm just gonna make some content. It's fine. If you do that, even as a VTuber, then it's not gonna work. It's a whole nother thing to learn on top of public speaking, which is basically is, because I'm right now like public speaking to 40 people. Yeah, so it'll take a while to get good at. I had some experience already, but not at making videos, or some videos. I did some videos. I've done a lot of presenting to people and traveling around and teaching stuff, so this is a natural development of that. You've then, if you're going to do it, learn all of that stuff on top of learning how to do VTubing and 40k things. So, ooh. 25. The grainy scrap code person told me there's 25 monies. Thank you. I'll come to your question next. Yeah, so if you look at some of my older videos, which people were saying do get recommended to them occasionally, try some of them and you'll see how far I've come. So there's a gap there, a learning gap. Death Guard Hobbyist. Hello, Death Guard Hobbyist. I assume that you play Death Guard. That's very good. Would you rather not face Soul Squirm Blight or Rattle Joint Egg? Ooh, that's a good point. I'll have to remember what they are. I had it right here. It was right here on my screen, and now it's not. I can get it real quick. And then I will look at... where are you? There you are. Munitorum Field Manual. Nope, not that one. Balanced Data Slate. Here's all the different plagues. So, as a Battle Sister player, I really would not like the Rattle Joint Egg. Doing something that cuts into our armor save, that's what we rely on for protection. So having save worsened by 1? No, not good. Not good at all. Especially if you're doing a combat Battle Sisters list. No, I mean, Arcoflagellants and Repentia, they'll be fine, but we'll be relying suddenly on a 6+ invulnerable save, and I do not like relying on a 6+ invulnerable save. It's there, it's nice, but no. The Soul Squirm Blight, I mean, a lot of stuff... If we're getting +1 from the Martyrdom detachment, the -1 to hit isn't too bad. So that's not as annoying. The worsening leadership and objective control could be annoying if you had something that caused battle shock. So the Knights lose their battle shock, the Chaos Knights, if they're in Death Guard detachment. So yeah, I think the Rattle Joint Egg is going to be worse for Battle Sisters. For Genestealer Cult, I think it's probably going to be the leadership and objective control, because if I can't control objectives, you know, if you're reducing us to a minimum of 1 though, that's something. So yeah, probably going to be the Skull Squirm Blight. Just, hey, -1 to hit, just on everything. Very nasty. I would not like that. That would be very unpleasant. So there you go. There's the answer for that. Flesh tubers are cringe. Flesh tubers are cringe. Yes, embrace the digital side of things. Yes, what made me pick sisters? Probably because I'm a crazy person and I'm like, oh, what I really want is the oldest out of production metal models you can get. I really like the metal models. They were really nice. The idea of having fanatics, but not like chaos fanatics, was really cool. The faith alone, it was just so different to anything else. It was just, let's go random craziness. And we're going to believe, and somehow that's going to pull us through. It was just like, we're mad, but we're going to get going. Yeah. Is the edition starter box the one with 2 armies? Yes, the Leviathan box set, yes. That is the one that comes with the Tyranids and the new Space Marines. And if you go into your local Games Workshop, you will get, at the moment, a free Hormigant as the model of the month. And as a painting model, you can pick up an Infernus Marine. So there you go, you can expand your stuff. Yes. Flesh Tube is a cringe, brought to you by the Adeptus Mechanicus. Yes, believe in the Emperor and the invulnerable save will be fine. It is quite good when you can just... Oh no, I've got -10 AP from all the different stuff, and I roll a 6 for the invulnerable save. It's nice. Except when you don't have devastating wounds, which is just no saves, not even invulnerable saves. Little bit sucks. Yeah, and then Genestealer Cult. I liked the lore back in 2nd edition. I had some of the 2nd edition models, So they were all monopose, but they were really cool because you could have any heavy weapon stuff you want. You want a conversion beam? We've got that. Heavy stubber? Yeah. Missile launcher? Absolutely. Get some of them. And, you know, Genestealers, as a mainstay, were one of the first plastic push-fit models. All you had to do was put the arms on and stick it to a base, which was a slaughter base. So you're done. Very nice models. So I like them. And then I got the Deathwatch Hyper Mega Overkill box, which gave you a bunch of Genestealer Cult and Deathwatch, Kill Team Cassius. So that's good. Starter box armies are really small. Yeah, they kind of. It depends how many points you want to play. It depends also which army you have. So a starter box for the Custodes will easily be 500 points. If not, closer to 1,000 points. I don't think there's the Imperial Knight starter set? Yeah, which gives you a knight and some armigers. There you go, that's 1,000 points in a box. So it depends on the army, then it's okay. I mean, a lot of people are taking the Leviathan stuff. You could just get it from eBay secondhand, because a lot of people are selling their stuff on eBay. Get all that stuff, add it together. Sure, you've got 2 Nero Tyrants, 2 Screamer Killers, a lot of Gaunts. That can be fun. Oh, the Knight set was a Christmas box only. That's a shame. But yeah, 2 starter sets essentially can be a very good starting place. But otherwise it depends on the army. I wouldn't buy the Imperial Guard stuff, like the Combat Patrol, and think, oh, I have 1,000 points here. You have, let's think, they've gone down in price as well. You have about 200 points there. 250 points. Yeah, 50 points-ish for Cadians. 130 for the 2 field guns. 70 points for Sentinel. And a command squad. There you go. There's about 250 points and that's it. Games Workshop does indeed do bigger boxes around Christmas. And they tend to be pretty good value. It was a fun little Combat Patrol box for the Imperial Guard. And when you play it in Combat Patrol style, you just recycle all the units, like, constantly. So that's fun. And don't think there's any other army can do that. Genestealer Cult in Combat Patrol, I don't even know if they can recycle their units in that. Maybe they still get the Genestealer Cult stuff. Maybe it's totally different. I would have to double check. I have not played them at Combat Patrol style. Okay, do we have now any final questions, as I've been going for more than 2 hours, which was longer than I expected. Yes, the arms for the Genestealers at the time were slotted too. That was it. You just slid the arms in, sit them in a base, done. Oh, yes. Any final questions, and then we'll be wrapping this up. And thank you very much to the people who have tipped money to me this stream. I do very much appreciate the money. It will help me get the good yellow for any Imperial Fist models I get, including the free Infernus Marine that I can pick up from the Games Workshop, because I don't think I'll be buying things at the moment. Although it depends how nice the new Space Marine things are. Depends. I have the 2nd edition, or 1st edition, Advanced Space Crusade Scouts, so I have been playing for a while. And so, you know, I've got them. I don't really need the new Scouts. It's basically the same thing. Scale's a bit different, but yeah. Most of the Toughness 3 faction Combat Patrols, yeah, they're, you need to get 3 or not at all. Yeah, they're not so great. What's my favourite Sisters of Battle miniature? I like the Exorcist. No, not the Triumph of St. Catherine. That's just 6 people and 7 people and one of them's dead. That's not a great set. It looks okay. I just wish you could do more with it, rather than it being essentially monopose. Yeah. Oh dear. So I like the Exorcist. I like the church organ as a design. I don't think you need the random cherubs around the top. I don't know if you need... I like the organ, the person playing the organ. That's good. The pose is very much like the metal model, which I have. It looks very good. You can give them a fancy church base if you really want. And I think that's better than the Immolator having a massive pane glass window on the front. So it's definitely the Exorcist. Did we talk about extending Battle Line to include more than just Battle Sisters? Is that a possibility? Would it be a game-friendly buff? I think it would be. I'm surprised Novitiates are not Battle Line anymore. I think they should be. Especially because their rules for like re-rolling stuff when you're attacking enemies on objectives is essentially just... It's what all of the other like Battle Line type things have. It's what Genestealers have in Tyranids. It's what Chaos Legionaries have in Chaos Space Marines. All of that. Yeah. So Novitiate Dominions, I think, if the way they're doing it, where it's the starter box set is here's your box of 10 sisters, build them as battle sisters, or build them as Dominions, one or the other. They should be also a battle line. The characters from the Triumph could be good for converting them into the Dialogus and Canoness. However, if you want to get some Dialogi or Canonesses, buy the Novitiate box set and then just convert the models, because they give you some really nice little hats. You get a Pope hat, you can have a Cardinal hat, there's 2 Canonesses or Dialogi. You get Dialogus in training, so you can have one of them, stuff like that. Yeah, we've gone through a lot of monopose models, and we're just going to get more model pose models. Ah, well. Okay, that's going to be it from me. So, my darlings, my viewers, thank you for the tip money. I hope you have a wonderful day playing as Battle Sisters or Imperial Guard or Astra Militarum, Brood Brothers or Genestealer Cult or any of the other different factions that you have. I hope you've had a wonderful time while you've been painting, watching stuff, reading stuff, organizing stuff. Have a wonderful day. I will see you very soon for another video. Ending screen. Ooh, it's dark. Bye-bye.